Well, the first thing I want to say is...
the great old ones is coming back, and we the great old ones.
Well, the first thing I want to say is...
the great old ones is coming back, and we the great old ones. Magic.
What is a ritual? Over 100 million people worldwide practice voodoo.
Yeah, you must be one of them fallen angels, and I said, correct. We are the fallen angels.
Black. Some might call it.
Black magic. The children have civilized person.
Magic.
Sorcery and witchcraft.
Demons.
It's taboo.
It's taboo.
It's taboo.
We talking about we tapping into ourselves. Magic. We are the ones that got trapped down here in the physical and became mindless slaves for a remnant of God who once was our children.
God is the God you will.
Have you ever seen yourself through the eyes of someone else that you have become?
Cause ain't none of them niggas come under this mess. Cause ain't none of them niggas come under this mess.
Only an insider knows the secrets and mysteries.
Why down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
If you want to plumb the secrets of voodoo, you'll have to wait for the end of the world.
This is reality. The real trick to life is not to be in the know, but be in the mystery. Is everyone a mystery? What's happening within us will create what's happening outside of us.
In Haiti, the Caribbean, and New Orleans, they practice voodoo. Black magic.
We're gonna pour libations to none other than our own power.
Dead ancestors.
Voodoo practitioners. Altars.
The witch gods of the African Congo.
Black magic. Ceremonies.
Oh, now don't tell me you believe all that mumbo jumbo. Oh, now don't tell me you believe all that mumbo jumbo. Now, you've heard long enough, never have to speak anything with mumbo jumbo.
Where is Dr. Chronicles? You gotta just his stuff. I know it's real. So I do my magic on the court.
You think you'll fight the white man with some goddamn birds? Is you fucking crazy? Fuck it. You think you gonna fight a white man with a goddamn gun? Niggas, you crazy? Only way you can fuck that cracker up is on this shit. Dark side, nigga. Dark side. Dark side.
Actually, I'm on a plane at least twice a month in the United States. I've taken over 300-400 flights since '93. Fact is, I'm just too lazy to get my passport. Because the sister called back in, I think she called back in 2003. You know, and I said, yeah, I'm gonna get my passport and all, just Negro-fied, just too lazy to fill out the application. As simple as that. But that brother's the one that did it. He's like, yo, man, you got to do it. And it happened. It happened. And so we're glad that I'm here. I want to bring show my queen. She's in the house. Now you come on up. We in London.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want to document that. We got the queen over there and also. And so, But real magical power, this is very magical.
Like all of us.
So, a lot of power, a lot of energy and stuff, And very magical sister and all. So they say the best for last, because we hooked up, 4 years ago now, back in 2004. So, real powerful. By the way of Washington, D.C. So in so many words, they used to do a lot of rituals in Washington, D.C. to the goddess Virgo and Scorpio and the goddess Aset. And as a result, she was born and incarnated in D.C. So she's got a lot of power based on the ritualistic things that they were doing in D.C. And so she's born and bred in that town. So real powerful energy. And all, and so what it was is that I had the queen, Ginger, which was 20 years younger than me, and we woke up one day and she said, it's time for me to go. And I'm like, yeah, it's time to go. It wasn't any kind of breakup or nothing. It's just every now and then the cycle passed, and you be like trying to figure out why my relationship is not happening in the seasons. You see, you don't understand. Everybody wasn't meant to be together till death do you part. it's like this, you come to do a work in a certain season. And so then I went through a string of women, about 12 of them. Of course, about 3-4 years, and then she was the 13th one, and 13 is very, very powerful. You see what I'm saying? And 13th one, so she took me from that hiatus and that that whole thing. But that was a cycle also too. But I'm really glad to be here in London. And I think what it was, I know now that things happen spiritually. So when I was saying I was too lazy to get my passport, it wasn't that. It was the spirit was like saying, it's not time for you yet. You see, it's like let the others come through, and then and so everything works on a sequence like that. Because when I applied for my passport, I got it in 8 days, and that's unheard of because now they're locking down the United States, whereas you got to have a passport to go to Canada and Mexico. You see what I'm saying? And so I got it in 8 days. So I knew, I said, okay, now is the time that I'm supposed to come. You see what I'm saying? That's interesting here because I went to Canada back in the fall of 2006, right after my mother made the transition. As a matter of fact, I was supposed to go to Canada. My mother made the transition on July the 20th, which was the day that Noble Drew Ali made the transition, the day that Bruce Lee made the transition. The date, so it was real. That's a real date I gotta try to look into. And she just sat in the chair, and this her Kundalini rose up, and she just spontaneously combusted. You see, so so it was just her time to go to that goddess level. And she said, she had to go through something on how this thing is going to go down. We'll go into that science over the course of days of the rising of the gods and goddesses. So then I went to Canada. And all of a sudden what happened was we realized there's 3 places on the planet where the knowledge goes down. One is the United States, one is Canada, because they got to hold intelligence to the brothers and sisters up there in Canada, and one is England or London. Why? It has something to do with the language barrier. It has something to do with English itself. So in so many words, you see, there's a language barrier. We can't go to France. There's got a lot of Africans in France, but we don't speak French. You see what I'm saying? We can't go to the continent a lot of times, but most of them, what you got was Zimbabwe, maybe Nigeria, a few places. But my point here is it was set up this way based on the technology that it would be these 3 centers: America, Canada, and the United Kingdom. And that's everything, and as a result, that's the way the actual consciousness is going off. You see what I'm saying? So we have the islands and stuff, the Caribbean, but then again, the Caribbean link to this thing is here in the UK. This is the deal. See, this is the key on how this stuff manifests. We have a big Afrocentric and metaphysical aspect in the United States, but because the Caribbean communities, everything is separated based on communities in the United States. We have the Caribbean input, but it's not as big in the United States as far as getting this particular information. But the missing link is here. This is the key. This is the key on that. You see what I'm saying? The Caribbean-African connection, it had to be in another country, you see what I'm saying? And it is very key at this particular time. That everything is going down this way. Now, the reason why I say, some people will say, why do you say London and why do you say the United States? And I'm going to tell you something. About a year ago now, what's happening? I'm going to go into a whole lot of things. We're going to go into a question and answer in a few minutes because I want to see what's on your mind. So what we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to talk a little bit, then we're going to go into a question and answer up front so we can get the system going, because what we're dealing with here, we are coming to the gods and goddesses. And what I mean by that is this, to give you an example of what's really going on with us. About 4 years ago, all of a sudden, Howard University in Washington, D.C., a couple of other universities, Morehouse College in Atlanta, some couple of universities in Alabama, they started getting these grants to study the DNA of 15,000 African Americans. and African Americans, and it resulted in a PBS special, African American Lives with Henry Louis Gates. Now, so the other part here is based on the diaspora, was the Caribbean. So where did they go to study the DNA of the Caribbean? They came here to London. And they got a whole movie on it where they tell you to trace your roots back to Africa. About all this stuff recently, it's been real big about tracing your DNA back to Africa. You got to understand, they don't give a damn about you tracing your DNA back to Africa than anything. But why all of a sudden this is of importance? So they came here to trace your DNA back to Africa. What this means is that they're trying to track the rise of the gods. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. We can talk about the practitioners, we can talk about all the groups and all of this, but the most important thing right now is this. They're trying to track the rise of the gods. Now, I noticed we got a brother that came up. He said it's from Pakistan, right? Yes. Pakistan. And it's interesting how the spirit works. Because in 1999, in Pakistan, they had these celebrations. And they said, well, why are you all celebrating in Pakistan? They said, we're celebrating the rise of the gods, of some hidden gods in the United States. It was Pakistan, Afghanistan, and all the ones now that's involved with this whole war thing that's going on. You see, parts of India, they had celebrations in 99 for this rise of the hidden gods in the United States. Now, the other thing is this. The link is this. Is you got to get the movie Doom. Anybody ever saw the movie Doom? Yeah. All right, this is the deal. We're going to go into a question and answer to get that, but this is very important why I'm here and what's actually going on. In the movie Doom, they got these principalities warring over Arrakis, the spice. The spice is melanin. And in the middle of that, they got a group of people that's connected to the spice that the principalities in the universe didn't even know existed. They were called the Fremen. They didn't know existed. Well, congratulations, because you are the Fremen. You are the people that most of the world don't know exist. Now, let me tell you what I'm talking about. In the United States, we see about 4 or 5 black people from Britain mixed up amongst white folks. And that's all we see. So in a way, you don't even exist in American media. They make sure that they sequester you that you don't even exist. They would never know that there would be over 1 million of you. You see what I'm saying? Over here. And this is what we get. This is what we get. You see what I'm saying? You don't even exist. Every time we see somebody from Britain, there's maybe one black person amongst 100 white people in the crowd, or two or three white people hanging out. They might have the black British friend. But no one would ever know that there's 1 million of you strong here in London. And that's because, first of all, that is one of the goals of people who conquer indigenous people, is never to let you see your strength. See what I'm saying? Just like we don't know, they got 80 million black people in Brazil that don't even know they're black. But something started happening even in Brazil around 1998, 1999. The black man in America caught on to it and started going down to Brazil for sexual purposes. But nevertheless, they got all these sisters all over them, which led to DVDs and videos and pornos and what have you. But nevertheless, sometimes there's a link that comes through even the most crude things. You see what I'm saying? So that's a connection. But the point I'm trying to make here is, why is it that in America, they would never let the black people in America, period, know that there's 1 million of you over here? That means that there's something that's going on, but this is when I knew it was a link, when I knew there's something special about you. is when they made the movie about tracing the DNA. Like I said, they gave all the money to the people in America. They made the PBS specials about tracing the DNA. And then they made the movie about tracing the DNA. They made a whole motion picture of tracing the DNA from black people from London and some other parts of Europe back to Africa. And they don't give a damn about no Africa or you tracing your stuff back to Africa one bit. What it is they're trying to study the DNA to try to understand the God particle, because it can only come through you. Why? Because you have the indigenous link, you see what I'm saying, of the original indigenous people on the earth. But you also have the mixture. You see what I'm saying? We're going to get into all this type of stuff because the royal art of ancient Kemet, or the royal art of ancient Egypt, is alchemy. That's the most advanced form. These people were so bad that they can make gold. They can literally make gold out of thin air. You see what I'm saying? So when you see King Tut, you see all that gold, they would make that stuff by taking particles and putting them together and manifesting the actual gold. They were master alchemists. But they also know that there's a gold inside of the body, which is the philosopher's stone and the ultimate aspect of melanin that's inside of you. And we got two people already, I think last week. I don't know, maybe you might know this. I know last week I heard a brother had gold coming out of his coming out of his eyes, his tear ducts. Somebody might be sweating gold. Anybody have anything like this happen? Because we're trying to trace these type of things. We're trying to get into what is actually going on. But in so many words, what they're trying to trace is the new gods, the new evolution of the races. So it has to come from a people who went through the Middle Passage or people who went through some form of migration out of Africa. That's the key, because they're killing Africans with AIDS and calling it AIDS, killing them with AZT, or 100 or 70,000 a month, calling it AZT. But why is it no Arabs are getting it? You see what I'm saying? Whole top part of Africa, you got Kemet, you got Libya, you got all Morocco, you got all this stuff, it's all Arab. And they're not coming down with AIDS. You understand what I'm saying? And nobody look at that. You see, let me give you an example. I'm going to pull these libations so I can get stuff right. Let me give you an example. They're saying that AIDS is the #1 killer of black people in the United States, but we don't know nobody dying. Everybody in the United States is obese. Wait a minute, now hold on. If AIDS is the #1 killer, why I remember when they were giving the people the AZT and all, they had the big heads and the little emaciated bodies. We don't see none of that. And nobody's dying from it. You see? They're just telling you this as basically because they can't really actually administer something. Because you got to realize this. It's an epidemic of black men and white women. And the United States government just said recently that they married off from 2000 to the end of 2007. They married off 70,000 black women to white men. So my point here, if it's the #1 killer, why ain't no white folks getting it? You see what I'm saying? If the black man, every time you see the black man, he with the white woman, why ain't no white woman coming down with AIDS? You see, all that is just statistics. When they give you a statistic, then they can come and kill you off. And don't have to worry about giving you a disease that's going to spread amongst them. You see what I'm saying? So, getting back to what I'm talking about is this. There is something that is going on in our DNA and in the melanin. They know it. And as a result, they got a track. They started tracking you, telling you that, you can go and trace your stuff back to Africa, or, and basically getting your blood to try to find and track this God particle, which they can't do. We're going to go into the science on what all this stuff is actually talking about. Right now, what we want to do. This is a celebration because this particular deity here with these two knives in his hand came back to the planet last year this time. I think about a week ago last year this time. His name is Nefertim. He's the son of Sekhmet, the son of Sekhmet, the god is Sekhmet, and the god Ptah. Very powerful deity, got 2 knives in his hand. The other one is a deity that comes by way of Mesopotamia, more than likely in Persia. It's got a lot to do with the whole Iraqi thing. But the reason why I put the 2 lion deities together, because the simple fact here, we know now that obviously that if you put different zootypes on different people, because most of you are by way of the Caribbean, and is the majority of the Caribbean here mostly Jamaican? Yes. Okay, then the whole lion thing, the Lion of Judah, the whole connection with Bob Marley and the whole Rastafarian thing, you see what I'm saying, is very key. So therefore, the lion, you see what I'm saying, is one of the zootypes of the totem for the lost tribe in London, the Fremen. Anybody go get the movie Doom and look at that, because obviously it can't be the people in the United States, although we are all connected, because in the United States, it's obvious that there's a black presence there. You understand what I'm saying? We have heroic figures, we have a history, you know what I'm saying, of all this. But my point here is whenever something is hidden, the hidden gods, that's what we're talking about. You see. Kenneth Grant, who was a British occultist, wrote a book, Aleister Crowley and the Hidden God. We're talking about those hidden gods. And let you know this. If anybody want to know, well, what is my purpose? What is the answer? The answer is short and simple. Becoming back gods and goddesses. Anything short of that, you're wasting your fucking time. You see, we'll get into this. But that's what this thing is about. And if you don't believe this, this is what this white boy knows. So you need to be clear on what they are looking out based on you. It ain't about no sovereignty. It ain't about you getting no money. It ain't about all this foolishness. It's about a group of people that's slated to become gods. And the only people that have the evolutionary process that's been on the planet long enough. You see what I'm saying? And the people who have been mixed. That's the beginning of this alchemical thing that they did with the melanin. So we can deal with this thing. The only people who can do it is the Africans in the diaspora. You see what I'm saying? But then, they track it based on the intelligentsia. So you have a conscious movement here, just like in America. You understand what I'm saying? So as a result, this is why they're tracking your DNA. Because the DNA is changing. So in so many words, your DNA has changed over the course of the last 10 or 15 years. And now think about it as you still thinking you human. And as a result, it might just be one act that's going to raise up and the DNA can snap and you become gods and goddesses. You see what I'm saying? So now, I don't like to do an infomercial, but it's very key because this particular deity came back and his name is Nefertim. And here's a book that came out of Hemmitt, some ancient papyruses, called the Hemmitt, the Egyptian mystical rites, and it's like a ceremonial book. And someone sent me this in the mail. And when they sent it in the mail, this deity came through and said, that's my book. It was like, you know, they got all kind of magical stuff in there for money, for healing. You see what I'm saying? Different things like that. They say, you know, give that to the people, you see what I'm saying, and along with the picture, and bam. You can do all kind of wonders and all. So I just want to put that out about this particular thing. But we celebrating this particular deity. So in so many words, he came last year so that also it could be in place when I came to the Lion People. There's a book I call The Lion People by Murray Hope. It's out of print. That's talking about you all. You see. By Murray Hope, The Lion People. If you can't find it, there's another book called The Sirius Connection by Murray Hope. And in that book, in the back, they got a thing called Lion Power or something like that. It's dealing with the goddess Sekhmet and a bloodline. A bloodline. You see, so this thing is it's an entire connection that's going down. Another thing I want you to understand is this. It's very important that I say that because this particular book came out in America. I might have came out over here. Anyway, I didn't get here But last year, apparently, let's see if I can find the book. Last year, apparently, they celebrated the 30-year anniversary of the album Exodus by Bob Marley. You see, album Exodus by Bob Marley. The 30th anniversary. And in America, they have a place called a documentary channel. The British government tracked all of the prophecies of Bob Marley and the Wailers and all the people that was in the entourage, the prophecies as well as the teachings. They tracked these particular prophecies, and the British government let them out last year in America. Anybody see these things? The British government, there's some prophecies that they, for the whole time that whole ordeal between the time back and forth from London up until his death in 81, and all, not only him, the whole entourage of everybody, you see what I'm saying, even from Peter Tosh or whoever that was connected, they tracked these prophecies. And they let these prophecies out last year in the United States. You see what I'm saying? So there's things that you'll see over here that they won't let out in the United States, and there's things that we'll see over there that they won't let out over here. It's just like a tape called Mind Control in America that the British government let out, and America got mad. But it was about mind control in America. You see what I'm saying? So they celebrated this, but there's one key that you got to understand as far as a link. Let me give you what I'm talking about. We got a transmission recently, because this happened twice. The first, they have the British invasions. So the British invasion was supposed to have been the Beatles. And they saying right now that they couldn't understand how the Beatles could invade America, because really the songs were very popcorn and very really stupid until they developed into something later on. By the time they started doing the Sgt. Pepper thing, they saying the people went crazy. And now they're saying it was all kind of mind control, MK Ultra thing that they was putting on the people. And they pulling out their hair and all kind of stuff like that. Now Michael Jackson did it for real. You remember he was over in Germany and even guys was passing out. Jimi Hendrix came over and was putting them in altered states of consciousness over here. And that's why they took him out. But so there was a British invasion of MK Ultra in America, but Jimi Hendrix was the first American invasion that was the real shit, putting people in altered states of consciousness, and they took him out. You see what I'm saying? And the next thing would be the whole Bob Marley aspect, but this is one of the keys. What you must know and must understand. So the transmission came down that Jimi Hendrix, after so many years, and you can see this in the Voodoo Pantheon, they will have deities, Urzuli, Ogun, different types of deities, and then they'll have a group of ancestors that is relegated to the gods, just like Imhotep is relegated to the gods. So that means a person has done such a powerful work, and when they leave the earth after so many years, maybe 30 years or 40 years, they get relegated as a power of a god. Because what are we? We're just gods in the physical. We'll get into all of that. Well, apparently Jimi Hendrix was relegated as a god in the spirit realm. So you could use his music and tap into his spirit, and you can use it for healing. You could also use it for protection. My queen, when she was in D.C., they used to have all kind of, there's all types of experiments going on in D.C. D.C., it's all types of stuff, and helicopters and all kind of stuff. So in order to cool the energy out, and also mind control to get black people to shoot each other and kill each other. It's going on in Philadelphia as we speak. So what she would have to do is go get Jimi Hendrix's machine gun as a weapon to fight back of all the mind control stuff that was going on in Washington, D.C. And she would play that, the machine gun song from the, what's the name of that album? Well, it's on several greatest hits, but Band of Gypsies. And as a result, the energy would just cool out. So we're talking about force fields and ancestors and spirits that have the power after so many years. If they have powers down here, can you imagine what they would have when they get free of a restricted body? So I know in about a couple of years, we're going to see what James Brown going to pitch a bitch with. See what I'm saying? This man changed time on the planet. The dance, every beat that we are dealing with now as far as any type of movement or music is James Brown invention. So if he can change time, what you think he's going to do in the spirit world? Well, another one is relegated to that level is Bob Marley. Now, what I'm trying to say is this. For the people that's in the Rastafarian faith, I don't want you to get offended. You just got to understand the apparatus and how things go. And try to understand this. There's a book put out by Dr. John White called The Messiahs of the Dead Sea Scrolls. I know his last name is White. When they dug up these Dead Sea Scrolls, y'all all right? Is this stuff boring you? We got to pull libations. It's key to understand this stuff. They dug up these Dead Sea Scrolls and they translated them, took them years to translate them. One of the things that they did get from the translation was that they understood that the word Messiah didn't necessarily mean one person walking around with long hair looking like the so-called this white boy Jesus, which never existed. You see what I'm saying? A series of events that never existed. We'll get into that science. They understood that the Messiah was several people in the community, as far as what the Dead Sea Scrolls said about these black people, the Essenes, or the black Hebrews, or whatever, because all that stuff come from us. You see what I'm saying? Before somebody else usurped it and trying to masquerade as the is-it-reallys. But based on these texts, based on the Dead Sea Scrolls, that they said that a Messiah would be an artist, a musician, a scholar, and different people in the community that can actually lift the community up. Healers, you see what I'm saying? Entertainers, poets. If they were on a high level, they could be messiahs. This is what the Dead Sea Scrolls said, what the Hebrew aspect of what Mashiach means. Now, we know now that Bob Marley actually was a Messiah. Bob Marley was the fulfillment of what was given to Haile Selassie. Now, you got to understand where I'm coming from here. Because if you tap into the right energy, now all you got to do is just use your common sense and get out of the whole traditional aspect of why you were taught something from a small age or what have you. Now, try to understand this. You can have what is called a Christ figure, and then you can have a Mashiach Christ type energy. One is a figure based on a tradition. Now try to understand. The Ethiopians and the Cushites had a tradition of a lineage of the Messianic kingship. Alright? And Haile Selassie was born into that, which would make him a Christ figure. But not the Christ. He's the Christ figure. He has all of the emblems. He's the kingship. Just like we have the pharaohs, and then you would also have the priests, which would be mostly the gods. Now, try to understand where I'm coming from here. The Christ who took, so Haile Selassie was the manifestation of the tradition. Y'all get where I'm coming from here? Of the iconic traditions of the lineage of kings from the whole Ethiopian or Cushite aspect. So he ascended the throne. You understand what I'm saying? So they say, look for a person to be throned in Ethiopia. But the Messiah of that took on the manifestation on what Haile Selassie is supposed to represent was Bob Marley. Why? Because look at the works. He's known for the works. He transformed forms of music. He transformed cross-cultural, cross-continental, and he had his hand in decolonizing Africa. A lot of the Africans will tell you, we got decolonized when we started listening to Bob Marley. As well as showing up at the corner of the transfer from Zimbabwe from colonization to decolonization. So the point I'm trying to make here is that's the Messiah. So what you can do, you can build a shrine to Bob Marley and play his music and tap into the same kind of thing of what you would attribute to Jesus or whatever you would attribute to whatever Messiah figure, because that's total. So in so many words, what I'm trying to say here is that is a messianic energy that's set over the whole Caribbean. You understand what I'm saying? And set over the whole UK. And it's essential that you know this. Now, I'm not just saying this based on I'm doing the work. No. How do we know? We get in touch with these people. They come back and say, I'm a Messiah now. You see, and that's very key that you notice at the time, because that's going to be a very, so in so many words, that's going to be like a Horus link. You see what I'm saying? That's going to be like a Heru link. You see, we'll get into some, let me post some libations right quick. Y'all all right? So we can start the lecture. We post some libations.
6 minutes left. Okay.
So it's fitted.
About 6 minutes on the table.
6 minutes. Well, let me put the libation. It'll be about that much.
Okay.
Let me put the libation, then we do that. Okay. All right. Let's do the roll call. So we're gonna start with Nephilim and this god called Aeon. This Aeon, Nephilim or Aeon. He's also called Abraxas. Abraxas. You get the word Abra, Abraxas. Abra, abracadabra, Abraham. You see what I'm saying? Abraxas, Aeon. And this is the god Nephilim, which is the one we want you to access the picture and access the book. So if you got any problems or anything, you got some things you need help with, get the book, get the picture, light a red candle, recite what's in the book, bam, shit works. We got a lot of other things we're going to deal with. Y'all all right? Okay. All right, we're doing the Mayas. You see what I'm saying? By way of the whole island connection. So this is very important to me at this time, because the simple fact here is we're bridging continents and islands together. You see what I'm saying? And so it's very important, this whole UK thing. That's why it took me this long to get here, because that's the spiritual aspect. It was time, you see. And sometimes things happen in a certain season. So certain things had to go down. So, all right, Nephilim, Ashe, which means power. Abraxas, Ashe. We give the Sphinx, Ashe, which is the Lion of Judah. What they call the Lion of Restyle, which you get Rasta from, comes from the plateau of Restyle. You see, Ashe. Sekhmet, Ashe, Maheru Ashe, Hamaku, Ashe, Amakis, Ashe, Zarabanda, Ashe, Madre de Agua, Ashe, Madre de la Luna, Ashe, la Santissima Israel, Ashe, la Santissima Pija Iman, Ashe, la Santissima Muete, Ashe, Mama Shola, Francisco Siete Reyes, Spiritus and Tranquilis, El Cristo Negro, El Cristo Rey, Lakshmi, Vishnu, Ganesha, very powerful right now, Ganesha. Bim, Ashe Hanuman, Ashe Osa, Ashe Ashe, Ashe Heru, Ashe Rahel, Ashe Hamaku, Ashe Bash, Ashe Bilkis, Ashe Kadum, Ashe Bess, Ashe Bess, Ashe Ewok, Ashe Ilah, Ashe Lamb, Ashe Cthulhu, Ashe Cthulhu, Ashe Pepra, Ashe Maya, Ashe Heru, Ashe Simbi, Ashe Cthulhu, Shamnigara, Hasta, Yosako, Abdo, Bass, Butchers, Kadoo, Pashet, Tahuti, Anubis, Hermes, Ashe Iberus, Ashe, Simbi, Ashe Erzuli, Ashe Erzuli Dinta, Ashe Erzuli Frida, Ashe Simbi, Ashe Oshun, Ashe Oshun, Ashe Lepa, Ashe Yimiya, Ashe Wakala, Ashe Humala, Ashe Oya, Ashe, okay, let's see. Azazel, Ashe, Samaza, Ashe, Mikiel, Ashe, Malekas, Ashe, Sebek, Ashe, Sobek, Ashe, Sahu, Ashe, Sahu, Ashe, Seshet, Ashe, Shelket, Ashe, Kim, Anru, Ashe, Minimus, Mantu, how much time you got? Matu, Ashe, Shiva, Ashe, Vishnu, Ashe, Pravati, Ashe, Sadi, Ashe, Hanuman, Ashe, One Yin, Ashe, Tara, Ashe, oh boy, let's see, is that it? Durga, Ashe, Lilith, Ashe, Lega, Ashe, Lilith, Ashe, Aphrodite, Ashe, Anana, Ashe, Astarte, Abiathar, Leviathan, Nubis, Adessus, Titan, Ashe, Hercules. Set with my heart. Horse that feet. Heart set. Unrude. Ashe. Ashe. You gone yet? Oh, teacher. T-H. Ashe. Now come on. Okay. Come on. Louder. Ishtar. Moses. Yoku. Manu. Titi. Joseph. Imatu. Exactly. The symbol. Appeal. Luigi. Last week. I said that earlier. Dinky. I say Camus. I say Anru. I say Arsetti. I say Bastet. I say Ash. I say Athena. I say boy, let's see.
Rastafari.
Rastafari. All right, that it? So right now we want to go to a question and answer to get the UK's mindset and different things like that. And no question is too small, no question is too great. And so we'll deal with that right now. Okay, brother?
Yeah, what I'd like to find out, what was behind them putting the gold cap in Egypt, all the leaders of the world coming together?
When was this one? You talking about that?
This was a few years back, right, when all the leaders, there is
around the millennium, I think?
No, but there is a pyramid, right, what our ancestors, it's a flat pyramid. It's deliberately done that way for us to come back there to put the cap back on. But what these leaders of the world did, they went there and they put a gold cap on top of it.
Okay, well they're always doing stuff ritualistically around, and always, no matter how insignificant you think you are, it's always some stuff designed with you in mind.
And all of the leaders of the world went there.
Exactly. Like take for instance, the segue on that, let me show you. To show you something, why it's probably got something to do with the whole ancestral thing with us. Okay, this Pope came to town. This Pope Benedict. Yeah. He came to town back in, what was it? It was the end of April. Yeah. He came to town end of April, and they were showing this in D.C. He came to America, and they were showing this symbol, which is his symbol. They showed his symbol the whole time he was there. They were showing this symbol. Yeah. This is his coat of arms, and there's a black man on this, and it's a coat of arms from his family. And what it meant was his family lineage, the people who gave the coat of arms. Because are we on? Yeah. Okay. The people who gave the coat of arms to him was a Moorish line. Because the coat of arms, believe it or not, the Europeans didn't have coat of arms until the Moors came up for 700 years and gave them coat of arms and gave them a culture. You see, so his family, this new pope, his family, and that's probably why they elected him, because it was a black pope that was supposed to be right after Pope John Paul died. Yeah, that's right. But they elected him, but look at his coat of arms, which means the people who gave him his actual culture is coming from a Moorish line. And the reason why he was in the United States, believe it or not, he was in the United States to meet with Barack Obama. You see what I'm saying? Now, don't look at this as Barack Obama is on their side. It got nothing to do with that. See, they're doing stuff. Look, you following them and they following you. He was meeting with Barack Obama, and we'll go ahead and do this later on. Because there's a prophecy coming from Africa and a prophecy coming from black people right after slavery in the United States. That one day there will be a black president in the latter days, and we will get out of all of this. Now, he's not going to bring us out. Your DNA going to bring you out, but he's the symbol of the DNA when the Pharaoh returns to the double White House. Okay. Try to understand what's going on here. He don't have to do nothing. He don't even have to nobody. So the African Americans had one, and the actual Africans had one. A woman 10, 20, 30 years ago, a sister was getting off a plane in New York, and an African started talking to her and told her, my father told me of a prophecy that the Africans had. They say one day, in the latter days, the world nearing the end, you all going to get a black president. So they know this. And so this Pope had to come, and these red shoes, he had on a pair of red shoes. They be messing with brothers, black man put on, all them brothers got on red shoes. The Pope had on some red shoes. These shoes cost $5,000. But they represent that bloodline. Has something to do with the bloodline. That whole Da Vinci Code thing. Got nothing to do with nobody in France or some little white girl running around France. It's some bloodline type thing. What's that, brother?
You see the last picture, the bear?
Yeah.
Is that in the constellation? Star constellation.
Well, two things. The bear is found on two continents. America. Is the bear in Europe? Is the bear?
Yeah.
Europe. It might be a Russian type thing.
No, Northern Europe.
Northern Europe. But we don't know. We don't know. The bear could also mean, it's a constellation, the Great Bear. But it can also mean, America. If it means America, then this is prophecy. This is prophecy. Now, the other prophecy I had since 1995, and it was only revealed to me recently on what the prophecy was. Because I was thinking it was all black people, but the prophecy now is this. A brother was doing some work on electromagnetism in France. He had to go to a major museum, and they got prophecies over in France on Nostradamus that they don't let out the country. Or they slowly started letting out. So the first form of these prophecies, they let out in 1995. It's a book called The Complete Prophecies of Nostradamus. Remember that. And in that book, they got a prophecy. And I realized what the prophecy says. And I realize why I'm here now. It says, the world nearing its end period, has something to do with Saturn. It says, the empire will become a black nation. And I realize what they're talking about. They're talking about the British Empire, and they're talking about you. In the prophecy, the empire will become black nations. I was thinking it was all black nations, but they're talking about a catalyst, and that's where you come in as the Fremen. These people that nobody knows is there. I'm telling you, man, in the United States, you are unheard of. They say 1 million black people, and I might have thought I say maybe about 50 or 60 of them niggas over there. I'm telling you, they don't show you. But that's some spirit thing, because they always say, they say the Messiah will come always will be hidden to the last day of the Mashiachs. You see what I'm saying? So they say the empire will become black nations. Mm-hmm.
So are we going to have a black prime minister, number 10?
No.
It doesn't really need it. See, this thing is a diaspora family. You're getting the Pharaoh in the White House over there. Because we don't have that long for you to search out for one. You see what I'm saying? Because we're talking about the 2012 thing, but if you get to 2012, you're going to be disappointed, because that's a number. Right. It's not the 2012. The Mayans, when they was calculating this, they was talking about a season and a cycle. That's what you got to understand. Mm-hmm. We are in a 2012 season. We're already in it. But there's a book by the guy Eckhart Tolle talks about the power of now, which means, really in the 90s, they was talking about the millennium. And then when millennium got here, it became 2012. And the science is, if I can give you a date in the future, I can eliminate the time between the time you standing here and the time of that date. All of this here is null and void. I can eliminate. And that's a form of mind control where you don't focus on the now. It's happening now. So the 2012, you see what I'm saying, is talking about now. Hell, half the African calendars and the Egyptian calendars have been run out about 20 years ago, some of them 10 years ago, 14 years ago. You see what I'm saying? One of the last Dogon calendars ran out in 1994 with the last Siggy ceremony. You see what I'm saying? Where they do the sacred dance. every 60 years or every 50 years. You see, so the point I'm trying to make here is the 2012, when the Mayans was calculating the 2012, they say, well, look, time is artificial. Dates is artificial. There's only cycles and seasons, just like nature. It's like if I got a house burning down, I can't tell you when the last flame is going to go out at the time of the last flame. We just know that the house is burning down. You see what I'm saying? It's like when a woman is pregnant. They can say when the baby is due here, the baby is due here. They can give you an estimation, but they don't know the exact hour. You understand? So the 2012 thing, they put that date to give you a circumference of a time period, but the time period can start 10 years before that. 2012 could be 9/11. We are in it now. We're in war now. You see what I'm saying? You see. So these are things happen, but it's now. And so what's that, brother?
I've recently got hold of a DVD courtesy of this brother here.
Yeah.
It's a sister who's giving a lecture on law, a Moorish sister.
Mm-hmm.
I think her name is Queen Valhalla or something like that. And we are the Fremen, as you said. Yes?
Yeah,
Fremen?
the Fremen.
Now, I am seeking my personal sovereignty.
Uh-huh.
I'm releasing a lot of the information to a lot of people. Now, seeing the Moorish there and coming from that sister being Moors.
Okay, right. It's interesting you said that, but let me give you the pitfalls on what's at stake. Because you got to do it in several ways. You have to do it. If you're going to deal with this, you got to deal with it as an individual. Because if you deal with it as a group, you're going to become a terrorist. Let me explain this to you. On the terrorist bill, the Moors are on the terrorist bill. They've been on the terrorist bill since 1985. Okay, now what happened was in 1985, they had a guy that was over the Blackstone Rangers that later on became the El Rookins in Chicago, which was a Moorish group, of the Moorish Science, a spinoff of the Moorish Science Temple in Chicago. So what happened was, Reagan, for every president, they got to have their government agent. That is the person that is with them. To him, the revolutionary is up. So his particular government agent that would be with him would be Gaddafi. They work together. See what I'm saying? But he would come to the general public as the foe. So the enemy of Ronald Reagan in the 1980s was Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. See where I'm coming from here? Which, in so many words, they're in bed together, but they come as they come to you as the enemy. But so we know later on Saddam Hussein was in the bed with United States and Britain. That was their government agent to be used as a terrorist. So what happens is this. Gaddafi sent money to Farrakhan, $5 million. He sent money to the Blackstone Rangers guy that was in prison. Thus, because they had transactions with Gaddafi, and Gaddafi was the government agent of the known person that would be the person that if you come in contact with it, you would be signed up as a terrorist. So as a result, they are on the terrorist bill. So what they're doing in D.C. is they're going up and they go, are you a Moor? And you can say yes. They said, do you belong to a Moorish organization? If you say yes to that, then you come on the terrorist bill, and the first transaction you get, or you try to make with them, they're going to put you down to defraud the United States government or the British government. You see what I'm saying? Under the terrorist bill. So if you're going to do something, don't do it in a group. That's what I'm telling everybody right now need to come up out of groups. You're in them groups, come up out of them. Nation of Islam, come up out of them. The Moors, any of these groups, you got to get up out of these groups. Plus, because number one, in order to become that God that your DNA is saying, you can't belong to a group and have a leader over you.
You're sovereign.
You see, you're sovereign, because a part of the Moorish sovereignty is the sovereignty of the DNA. Sovereignty of Godhood. And that's how the energy works for you. Give me some questions. What's that?
What's the difference between Ma'at magic and practical magic?
Ma'at magic and practical magic. Ma'at magic they're talking about a balance, because there's a book called Melanin Magick. Did you ever see that book? Okay, Melanin Magick, they're talking, I'll give you the part of the actual book. What they were talking about here is Aleister Crowley, in 1904, got a transmission from a deity called TAOS, a form of Horus. And then in 1940-something, one of the people, his spiritual sons named Charles Stanford Jones, later on called Fred Atchett, had a transmission from the goddess Maya. So they said that these cycles, the Horus cycle started in 1904, which would be 100 years after the Haitian Revolution. You see, it's always back connected with us. You say, well, why would, you know, so the story goes, so people don't know, Crowley was a part of a Golden Dawn society, and left the Golden Dawn society and started his own society, but he started his own society when he was, in 1904, he was vacationing on his honeymoon in Egypt, when his wife started getting transmissions and said, Horus is looking for you, or Heru is looking for you, and it's all about the child. Well, he knew it had to be a transmission because Rose, he said, was an idiot. His wife was a dead person. So she wouldn't know anything about Horus. So he took it to all these museums to see Horus, or Heru, to find out who it is, which is the forerunner to Christ, which is the original Christ. And she was looking at these statues of Horus or Heru, and she said none of those were the ones. And so it was in a museum, and it was about to close, because they went to several ones, and she said that's what was calling you, and it was this particular stone tablet or stela of a black priest, came from the 27th dynasty called Occult, 26th or 27th dynasty called Occult. And so he took this particular stela, a stone, and got it translated and did a ritual to it, and this entity called TAOS came through and dictated the book of the law. Now, we say, well, what's so special about this Crowley thing? Why they celebrate Aleister Crowley? And that is this. We got all these ancient texts, but we don't have anything that touched down on the earth which be a modern representation of those ancient texts. The book of the law is one of the only books which is an actual extension of the Book of the Dead. So in the 1947, one of his spiritual sons called Charles Stanford Brown channeled Maya. So when the Book of the Law came in 1904, that started what is called the Eon of Horus, or the Eon of Heru. In 1940, there was a cycle called the Eon of Maya, called Mayan. And that particular one, they would go concurrently. Now in 1973, a woman by the name of Nema, which is almond spelled backwards, she had a transmission in 1973 of this transmission from Mayat, which was another second transmission like the book of the, so you had the book of the law, which was a transmission, then you got a book of Mayat, which is in the Melanin Magick, that Liber Prima something, which was an actual transmission from Mayat. So in so many words, the magic up in there is actually from that particular deity. So the magic actually, so in so many words, it would be the feminine half of the Horus type of energy in that particular book. It's called Melanin Magick by Nema. Now, you say, well, why is it they would give this stuff to white people? Well, they had to, because black people were dead. They couldn't give it to you. You know, in 1904, a black person was a dead person all over the planet. So the Europeans act as a symbiotic relationship with us to preserve a certain amount of information. You see, so you can't really get mad at the Europeans when you see them. Anytime you see Europeans engaged in our magic and our science, they were the ones that were supposed to be the preservers of it. See, in a bigger picture, the whole thing works together. You see what I'm saying? So while we were asleep, the black man and the black woman just went to sleep. So the Europeans, that's why the Moors came up for 700 years and gave them all the information. Because they know that they would be great recorders and preservers. You see what I'm saying? or they call it discovery. You see what I'm saying? But the key here is they preserve things. The Egyptians was good at that. They wrote it down. You see. So in so many words, these things came to various certain Europeans while we were asleep, so that now when we waking up, we can get these particular things back. What's that?
Yeah, don't forget the 666, the number.
Yeah. And the thing about it, well, this is when they took when she found this and they took it, and he had it paraphrased, the actual log number of what it was logged up under. Each museum piece has a number that's logged up under. The actual log number was 666. So this is the stellar 666, which is 666 is the number for melanin, 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, which is carbon. We are carbon beings. We are carbon beings. The other ones are carbon-based beings. You see what I'm saying? We are carbon beings. And carbon is also called chaos. We are chaos beings. With Richard King, Dr. Richard King gives you the analogy of melanin. Melanin is chaos. Chaos is melanin. Chaos in the blood. You see. And chaos, chaos is named Ain in the Kabbalah. And Ain in the Kabbalah, the numerical value is 61. And chaos, there's one law of chaos. Change is supreme. Everything must change. So the number 61 is the numerical value. I was born in 1961. Chaos is the left-hand path. I'm left-handed. Barack Obama was born in 1961. He's left-handed. But chaos is change, and his campaign is what? Change. You see what I'm saying? So certain things that spiritually happen. You see. So we are the carbon beings. So they say the beast. The magic of the beast. The beast is a great symbol of melanin and alchemy. The beast, where is the beast? The beast sits in the center of the earth. That's the Sphinx. So you got to demystify the whole spookism of the beast 666. You know what I'm saying? Somebody say, you know what the beast is supposed to be marking your number in your hand that you can't buy a trade with the beast. Well, let's take the pound or the dollar bill. If you was 2,000 years ago and you say the beast is something that's in your hand and you can't buy a trade with it, that would be the dollar bill or the pound. You see what I'm saying? Now they just made some new device, some chip in your hand. You see what I'm saying? So that's what that whole thing is about. Give me some questions right quick.
Could you talk more about the Sphinx?
Okay, the Sphinx is the Horus on the horizon, Harmaki. It's a double figure of Heru, it's because it's called Heru Marku. It's actually Heru and Maya combined. It's called Marku, Harmakis. Harmakis is the Greek word. Harmaku is the Egyptian word, which means Horus, or Heru, and Mayat, because you got Ma, and Ku, which means pyramid. It sits near the pyramids. Harmaku, Horus on the horizon, but it's a double entity of male and female. You see, the male and female. We won't get into that type of thing because in order to get back to the Godhead, if you're a male, you're gonna have to access your feminine half. If you're a female, you're gonna have to access your masculine half. Man is not man unless man is half woman. Woman is not woman unless woman is half man. There's two polarities that you have to master. We're not talking about homosexuality. We're talking about masculine. If you access your feminine half, there ain't going to be no need for homosexuality. You would be woman. Because the only thing you're looking for is something that you're lacking, that has been lost in you, because the gods used to be one nation before they were split in half. And we've been trying to get back to that. So we're not talking about homosexuality, we're talking about a God self when you access those things. We go into that later on. I don't want to go ahead of myself. But what's that, sister?
So is that how you unlock your DNA or activate your DNA to go into
That's one of the ultimate mysteries. There's this God, the God Shiva. The God Shiva is the God Shiva, which is is a form of Osiris. It's Osiris in Egypt. This is in Hemmitt is Shiva in India. This one here is when Shiva gets to a certain thing, he has one breast on one side and he has a pectoral on the other side. This is male and female God, of both male and female. Sheba and Parvati, which is his wife combined, they're both male and female energies. And so when you unlock the Kundalini energy up inside of you, the Kundalini itself is a feminine gentrix. It's a feminine energy. So the reason why, okay, we live in a patriarchal society, which means the woman is on bottom. There's only one thing that is on bottom in a patriarchal society concurrent with the woman, and that's the black man. Why is that? Because the black man has one thing on the original form that's inherent in man that he has the most of. He's part woman. That's one of the keys. That's one of the keys. Why do you think other races want him? There's something that's appealing to their feminine half. He's part woman, you see. Now everything else as far as his attitude and what he do, that's his training. Whether he's patriarchal, male chauvinist. But the key here is the reason why he's compatible to woman, because he is part woman. Because the Kundalini energy on the inside of him is feminine. And we got the greater access to the Kundalini energy because the simple fact we have the full function of the pineal gland. You see what I'm saying? The full function of the pineal gland. So in order for you to access that God self, or a lot of times when the force fields are not working for you, you don't understand why stuff is messed up, you got to access your feminine half. Same thing with the woman. Well, in a patriarchal society, one thing we can say about the black woman, you forced in accessing your feminine half when that nigga leave you with that baby. You see what I'm saying? You got to do certain things that the male is supposed to do. So that's training what it is on that level. You see what I'm saying? So that's got something to do with it. We'll go into some more of that later on. Give me some questions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's that, sister?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I just wanted to make an observation, if that's okay.
Yeah.
It was interesting that you made a reference to Robert S. Marley.
Yeah.
And what I differ with you to a certain extent, because I actually regard Your Majesty as above Bob Marley. Bob Marley acknowledged that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I recognise the point you're making in terms of the mind control, because what's happening, for example, you saying how African American communities are not aware of the large number of...
Yes.
This is, you're not the first African American I've heard say that.
Right.
And that's because there's been a deliberate conspiracy...
Oh, no doubt about it, yeah.
And part of that conspiracy is to keep black people detached from their original African history.
Yeah.
For example, if you speak to a number of young people today that are caught up in, as you say, killing each other, you ask them who Marcus Garvey is,
yes.
They'll either won't know or have limited knowledge. And likewise, even some adults I've spoken to. I myself was told about Marcus Garvey.
Yes.
By a black youth worker. So the point I'm making is, I think in this time, we have to be careful about how we look at what information we're receiving, because the Caucasian ultimately is determined to divide and rule us. And part of that is to actually throw loads of information out there and actually have us believe that there are still some Europeans that we can work with. And my view is, it kind of like goes back to Malcolm X. You know, Europeans can sympathize or empathize with us, but they can't join us, right? And the problem I have with Obama is he doesn't want to give anything for reparations. And the problem with black people around the globe is that reparations isn't about charity. It's not about Red Nose Day. When I think about Red Nose Day, that's about black people being made a fool of, white people going on crazy, raising money and then giving it as charity.
Yeah, okay.
So to round up, what I'm saying is, people like you are a blessing to us, and it is our responsibility to do our own reading and research in between times, but to recognise that the Caucasian hasn't changed, will not change, and if those that are serious about change, when I was a member of the anti-apartheid movement, there wasn't millions of them out on the road like there was for the Iraqis. Because they could relate to the Iraqis because they look white, but they couldn't relate to the black South Africans because they were black. So I think, you know, it's important.
Yeah, okay, but I want to clarify. I'm going to clarify one thing. What I'm speaking on. What I'm speaking on is this. This is the wave force, and I think we have to identify the speakers that come before you. They have different categories, and all of them are valid in a certain way. There's a whole African right to be wrong or right to disagree. But the information that I'm coming through with is based on what I'm versed in is the spirit world. So for everything that's apparent, there's a spiritual counterpart to it. You see what I'm saying? Let it be known, we're not talking about Obama in the aspect of politics, because in politics, anybody sitting in that chair is the same machine. We're not talking about politics. What we're talking about here is a template and an archetype of what's going on in the spirit world and how you relate to this spiritually. Now, I want to give out this particular entity also that set over, real powerful entity that set over Bob Marley and Haile Selassie. His name is Ptah Netta Unra. Remember that. I got a tape out on this entity because this entity came through in 1994. Ptah Netta Unra. His name, he called himself Henry for about a year, and then later on he revealed his Kamite name. He first came as Henry and said that he gave, he facilitated the deal to give Bob Marley a signet ring. Any heroes or heroes always have a signet ring. And Haile Selassie gave him the signet ring, and so in so many words, Haile Selassie was crowning him Messiah through the signet ring. Yeah. Just not understanding what he said. He says it's very important that you understand that about the signet ring. And I received the signet ring as a scarab the same year, and I still got it as a signet ring. So that signet ring hailed him as a Mashiach that Haile Selassie did. But the guy that facilitated the deal, because we're talking about the spirit world. So we could get into the political world or the mundane world is division. But you can always solidify things on the spirit realm. That's what we want to get into people to understand. The neophyte takes the apparent. We're talking about the spirit realm where we are unified. So as one, we are unified in the spirit world, and that's why we're here. So we're not here really talking. So my point here is we can get into the political aspect of it, and then we can miss out on the spiritual aspect of it. And a lot of the speakers that will come, they're going to give you the political. Because there's certain realms you got to get to even be entered into the spirit realm. You can be in the religious realm for years. But the spirit realm, there's certain things that you got to deal with. So I'm well versed to be in the spirit realm to understand that there's a greater unity on why we're here. We got to look at these things on these spiritual things in these small levels. What's that? Mm-hmm. Okay, excellent question. We need to get certain things down so that you understand. The ancient Egyptians studied the stars for 40,000 years and didn't even tell nobody. That's documented in Secret Doctrines, Secret Doctrine Blavatsky, documented in Natural Genesis. So when the Greeks came in, the Egyptians told them, hell, we studied the stars for 40,000 years and didn't even tell nobody. You must understand something. Although we think that our plight has been long, it's only been like 2 days compared to the amount of time we rule a civilization. You see what I'm saying? We got 10,000 years of pharaonic history. And they said, who ruled before then? They said, that's when a whole bunch of gods used to rule. Well, where are these gods now? They said, we are the gods that used to rule. But prior to us falling in a physical body, we used to rule as gods. You know, they got them big Olmec heads over there. But yet they don't have no picture, they don't have no other culture but just the heads. Guess what though? Guess what's the difference between having the heads and not having the culture? Well, the culture is Mayan, Aztec, what have you. But why is it they don't have the head, they don't have the culture of the Olmec? Because the Olmecs, that's when they used to be the gods. We have a twofold history. We have a history of a non-physical history and a semi-physical history, and on into a physical history. And a lot of times we think that the physical history is all there is. You see what I'm saying? It's just the last state that we ended up in. So in this particular aspect, that's an excellent question you had, because I think to clear up a lot of things, we can just point to the chase so you don't have to worry about things. Now, you can deal with what you want to deal with. You can go back into your slumber, but you must ask yourself this. Now, let me tell you what the state is, and it's what you can get ready for. And you best believe this is what the European is looking for. He's not looking for you to do anything physically and politically, because he know you ain't going to do nothing. We need to quit jacking off. We ain't going to do shit together. Come on now. We don't get along. You got the Eritreans and the Ethiopians ain't talking. I got to come to the UK to get down with the Caribbean people because it's divisive in neighborhoods in New York. You see what I'm saying? In the Caribbean community. Everybody stick to each other. So here it is. I've been speaking 15, 16 years this month. And the first time I get to converse with a total Caribbean audience, it ain't got nothing to do with African America, is the day. See what I'm saying? Now there have been several Caribbean people in my lectures in Wichita, but I'm talking about we don't come together. Now listen, so we don't need to, look, we can play with this stuff all the hell we want. First of all, we are mentally ill as a people globally. And the mental illness is getting worse. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. So no, Africa ain't gonna rise. I'm the first African gonna come to you and tell you, quit jacking off. Try to understand what the ancient Egyptians and what the ancient Africans said. You are a caterpillar. That's when we rule Africa. We went into a cocoon stage, went to sleep, to become what? A butterfly, metamorphosis. Your whole body is broken down on that level to metamorphosize. You see what I'm saying? So you don't go a caterpillar, Africa. 50,000 years of history. We don't know, this shit is old. Caterpillar. Then the sleep period, okay. Sleep period. You see? But you don't come out of the cocoon to be another caterpillar. You come out to be a butterfly. This, I'm giving you the information on what the European is into. The rulers know. And they give you all the foolishness and stuff, and you still stuck in all the political stuff. You see what I'm saying? And they already know that is not your goal. You are the ones that slated for metamorphosizing. You're going to metamorphosize, or what they're going to say, transmutate. And you must be on the level of what it is you're becoming gods. You see what I'm saying? A god don't worry about no 30 pieces of silver. What would a god be doing? It's like a dog. So, you know, when I become a human, I'm going to get me a big storehouse full of Alpo, some dog bones, a bunch of asses to lick. Whatever dogs do, you know, they lick their balls or what have you. He's talking in dog mind. But once he becomes a human, that stuff is irrelevant. All right, everything your desires, that's what the Buddhists tell you. You got to get rid of desires. Because your desires might not be relevant to your DNA. They're not tracking your DNA to find out whether you're going to be the next rulers with some ties on and the rulers of the world. They're tracking your DNA because of the return of the gods. The return of the gods. Right now, I know you might not think this, but right now, you're looking at a man that died in his sleep in the spring of 2001. Whole other entity. You see what I'm saying? Not without no disease or nothing. I didn't know. What happened was, okay, I had a heartbeat. It's a pulsation. It's a heartbeat. And what this heartbeat does, it's in the book Kundalini. It's in a book called Kundalini, The Energy of Depths. Kundalini, The Energy of Depths by Lillian Silburn, taken from Sanskrit texts. You have two heartbeats. Anybody go to bed and your heart starts palpitating? Anybody have this shit here? You get all scared? That's another heartbeat. You got two heartbeats. You got the heartbeat of your soul and you got the heartbeat of your physical vessel. The heartbeat of your soul is, when it starts to get activated, it will cancel out the heartbeat of your physical vessel and you become immortal. You see what I'm saying? So when I got electrocuted on my birthday a couple of months ago, sitting there and the shit shocking my ass, and I'm not dying, I'm just trying to see where the energy gonna go. Or when I sleepwalking and went in the doggone room, went in the bathroom and slipped and my head fell on the toilet and the tub and broke my neck. And went back to bed and was sleeping. And then got up the next morning and I said, I think I broke my neck. She said, I heard you fall in there. I said, oh well. Can't kill a dead person. This is the stuff we talk about power. And you talking about some little sovereignty and all this kind of stuff. This stuff that ain't gonna really work. Really, is that too long? Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So my point is, we're going to get into all that type of science, but we're trying to get into advanced levels of spirituality. Now, my point here is you're going to have enough speakers going to come before you, and they're going to give you, and I'm not saying that stuff is not important, but it's just like any other college course. Understand the class that you are attending. You see what I'm saying?
We're going to go to 15-minute break.
Okay, when now? Oh, no, hold on, okay, let me do something. We're going to go to you want to go now?
Yeah, 15-minute break and then...
Okay, before you do that, before you go now, what we want to do, we want to get somebody that is the expert. We don't know nothing about no pounds or no kind of shit like that. But what we want to do now, we want you to access this book.
Well, I want to be the first one.
The book and the picture. I want you to access the book and the picture, and we got other pictures up here you can access. That's $5 American money. So the book is $5, and the book is $5, and the picture is $5. Then what I want to say again, like I said, now also I want to show you this. We have a third eye ritual. This is a ritual you can do to open up the third eye.
10 seconds.
This is $5. As well as, you can let it go off, it doesn't matter. As well as 10 ways to raise the Kundalini energy. This stuff works, but you want to get a hold to this Nephilim booklet because it's going to be a time. It's going to be a time you might need something. I sold something about a couple of years ago at a lecture. Brother was going to court, didn't have nothing. Sold him a ritual. The brother went in and recited the ritual, went to the doggone judge, and he was in the wrong. And the judge almost locked the woman up. You see what I'm saying? Almost locked the woman up who he had done wrong to, some white lady, based on some money he owed her. They almost carried her to jail. So we talking about magic that can work. Okay. We back, and one thing I want to do, we found out something about 15 years ago. Started getting a lot of books on the Illuminati, because I still want to go into some question and answer, because we got 2 days, so we can do things like this, because your actual questions are actually answers, and that's the spirit world giving it. But I want to say one thing, because we got 2 days, but I want to go into this. We realized back in 1994, about 14, 15 years ago, that we started getting a lot of books on the Illuminati. And the first initial aspect of people who rule us is very important to understand that. But then we found out these books that was going on, that was being sent to us at a place called Cultural Communications, called Black Media at the time. We found out that a lot of the books on the Illuminati is by the Illuminati. Now, let me explain what's going on here. Melanin works through creativity, but it also works through stress. We create when we are stressed. That's why we did most of our creative stuff when we were really oppressed. Less oppression, the less we create. You see what I'm saying? So if you go back to the time when we were more creative, was when we were more oppressed. That is because melanin works through stress. They even did a study on it in the book DMT and the Spirit Molecule by Rick Strassman. that book DMT and the Spirit Molecule by Rick Strassman. And they had done a study on the whole melanin thing that works through stress. But melanin shuts down based on fear. So all the David Icke stuff to come up about the reptilians and all that old bullshit, that's a new history that is written to put you in fear. The reptilians they take ancient mythologies mean for one thing and put a spin on it. The reptilians mean Kundalini people, the serpent, the serpentine people, the Uraeus crown on the Egyptians. So when they're talking against the reptilians and trying to get you scared of the reptilians, they're trying to get you scared of your own coming, your own self. You see, so all this Illuminati stuff, and it is also to let you think that the white boy is got all this power when he don't have the power. Damn sure ain't got the power in the spirit world. Let me explain what's going on here. It's a mindset. The Holy Roman government, and I don't want to say Holy Roman because that's later on, but it was the same coming of the same old cavalry. But the Romans kicked their ass so bad in the ancient world until they had developed a reputation, you just don't go up against the Romans. And they were weak for damn near 100 years, but the reputation was so powerful, you understand what I'm saying? Till nobody dared challenge the Romans. Until the German Vandals, who were illiterate, didn't know the reputation. They were ignorant of the actual reputation, so they went up into Rome and kicked ass. Because they didn't know they wasn't supposed to go against Rome. The same thing is happening now with the people that's in power. They are weak. But the key here is to make you think that their reign is forever. You see what I'm saying? And not let you tap into your technology. Your technology is not his technology. Your technology is a spiritual technology. Let me give you an example. I was in New York doing 9/11. Did a lecture for Azariah, who came last time, Azazel. Did a lecture on 9/9. Went to Montauk, Long Island on 9/10 and did a ritual to the three goddesses, Oya, Oshun, and Yeminya. We got a picture of Big Mama Yeminya right here, also for sale. Hemmitt, so I did a lecture, did a thing for Yeminya. Let me see if I can get her. I'll see if I can find her her actual overlay. You know, did a lecture did a thing for Yeminya and Oya, and then in 9/11 happened right before I was supposed to fly out. 9/11 happened. So the brother named Clemson Brown said, "Look, brother, you're not going nowhere." He said, because they just blew up the World Trade Center. There's a great article I did on melanin that they transcribed. It's on, what is it? Bobby Hemmitt -mindspace.com. I think that's it. Well, how does the MySpace go? It's Bobby Hemmitt.
I don't know MySpace.
MySpace.com /Bobby Hemmitt. There's an excellent article on melanin in that. So the people that's computer savvy. I don't own a computer, so the brother named Panic up in New York, which is also a scholar and a musician, a magician, especially he's becoming a musician of dead people. Everybody that dies, get in touch with him. All the major stars and stuff, but and deal with magic. So we'll get into some of that. But anyway, I was in New York, and I had to sneak out of New York because they locked down New York. They locked it down. So I was stuck and stranded in New York because I knew I couldn't go to the airport because I knew that they was arresting all kinds of subversive figures. And I had a business partner who left out the day before me, And the day she left out on 9/10, and they said, "Where's Mr. Hemmitt?" She was like, "What? I got my fucking plane ticket. What you asking me about? Where's Mr. Hemmitt?" You see what I'm saying? So what they do is, let's say if they're gonna have a strike, they're gonna blow up something. They'll say, "Well, how many subversive figures are in the area?" So then what happened is, once the thing goes down, they just arrest all those people. So I knew not to go use that plane ticket. So what happened was, there was one train leaving out of New York that night to Long Island, and I got on that train with the cadets, because the police cadets had to go home and get sleep so they could relieve the police officers who was doing all the security stuff that morning. So I rode out to Long Island and me and this sister named Kimberly, who was doing her residency as a nurse up in New York. She was moving back to Atlanta, and we got back to Atlanta. Make a long story short, we got to Atlanta. They said possible link to 9/11 in Atlanta. So Sister Kimberly, who was psychic, was like, "That's you." But because they never said what it was. But the next day she said, "Can you come and help me move in my apartment?" I said, "Yeah." So she said, "I'll be a couple of hours." So meanwhile, a woman came across the street with a bathing suit on, and she came with a bathing suit on, and she was taking pictures. She stayed out there about an hour. It was like for distraction. So when Kimberly got there to the house, and we stepped out on the front porch, 50 police cars came with 4 people on each side, 4 deep, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. And it was 50 police cars. I've never seen that many police cars in my life, but it looked like they were trying to apprehend some type of terrorist. And they were all in, the neighbors like, "What the hell is going on?" And they stopped, and she said, "Well, they're looking for you." And I said, "Yeah, I know." But what it was is it became embarrassing because we were standing on the front porch and they couldn't see the house. It was like invisible. And I was dealing with the Paulo spirits, Paulo Manombe. There's Paulo Monte, light side, Paulo Manombe, dark side. I was dealing with Paulo Manombe, dark side. Which is, it's no evil like you, "Oh, I'm all scared." It's just like gasoline, water. No, listen what I'm saying. It's not, these are formulas when you see these things. They became wicked later on when other cultures could not understand. But it's like gasoline, water. You see what I'm saying? Bleach, Kool-Aid. You see, these are formulas when you're dealing with the spirit realm. So they couldn't see me. They couldn't see me at all. But remember, I had died also. It's called life and death. We'll get into all that science. I died about a couple months earlier, in the spring of 2001. So I was on the front porch, and I just started talking. I would start acting like I'm Tony Montana. I was doing all, and they couldn't see me and stuff. So then they got embarrassed and they sped off. Then they came back on December the 19th. It was the year the day that the Lord of the Rings, the first one, came out, and they got the street wrong 2 streets over. So they just missed the street all together. My point here is, we have that kind of spiritual energy. This is a picture of Marie Laveau. You know the famous Marie Laveau, yeah. The voodoo priestess. The voodoo priestess. This is a picture of Marie Laveau. And they used to come to her house to arrest her, and they couldn't find the house. They couldn't find the house. There was a sister I was involved with briefly who was an Oshun priestess, and they came to her house to cut off her doggone electricity, and the meter was right in front of the house, and they couldn't even see the meter. So when you're dealing with these spirits, you're dealing with a whole nother dimension. But what I'm trying to say here is this. They are weak. And you are supposed to be strong, but you just don't know it. Because you are more because you still locked down on the low realm, which is the mundane realm, worrying about mundane things. You see what I'm saying? And what it does, it cuts your power, but also we have immersed ourselves in this element of fear, and that's by way of the Illuminati. That's a form of mind control. So what happened here is we get more and more people coming before you, telling you all these things are what the government is going to do. And one of the mysteries is they don't never do shit but tell you they're going to do stuff. We're supposed to be going to the concentration camps in America for the last 20 years. And then we figured out the King Alpha plan, what they call a Rex 84, it was put out for just that. Since when did you know they're going to do something to you and they announce it? They just do it. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a form of fear that shuts down the melanin, that keeps you on lockdown. So your cage, you see what I'm saying, as far as your invisible bars is fear. Now Farrakhan said something back in 1984 at the Power Tour. He says, if your slaves went to war with you, the slaves will win. Now in 1994, I said, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Thinking about all the firepower and all the stuff that the government has. But he was right. Let me explain what's going on. The East Indian government got a grant in 1974 to do work on what is called the chakras and the kundalini energy. So they got a grant in 1994 to do work on this, and they concluded, based on the grant, they ran out of money, so it was a short-term thing, but they did it for a couple of years, but they had concluded that there were devices. Remember, this is the most important thing you got to understand. The only thing here is that you got to be aware of it, of your own power. So if you are a lion and you thinking you a skunk, you can't access the doggone lion power because you so busy trying to be a fucking skunk. See what I'm saying? Now, this is one of the most important things that you got to understand right now. Is the reason why you think they're going to come in to study your DNA. Now, we want to trace something back to Africa. They ain't studying you about no Africa. They're studying your doggone DNA because they already know there's devices, and this is what it says in the Sanskrit text. There's devices that is in the body that will come online when the race is threatened with extinction. So they have to go wisely and conspire against you. They do not announce the day of battle because they know there's devices that's inside of you will destroy them. You see? So as a result, but they also know that one thing they do is they keep the fear of this mightiness. Because they know you at a hair's inch from going to your God power. You see. So all the Illuminati and all the David Icke stuff, David Icke is a government agent. Yep. Say that? He's a government agent. All that bullshit he's doing, David Icke is a government agent. Oh, yeah. You see? Why do you think they ain't killed him yet? Exactly. Let me tell you something, man. He's on the History Channel on American TV. They had him on the History Channel. Anybody that come on that History Channel is government. There's real people. They got a white boy called Dan Winner from the United States government. He did a whole lot of metaphysical stuff based on a black hole that was in the region of Orion, which is Osiris. And in that black hole that was in the heart of Orion had something to do with the DNA with the Osirian people on the planet. They kicked that nigga ass, that white man. They kicked him out of the United States. They can do that. They kicked him out of his own country, so you no longer welcome. He can't even come to his own country. So my point here is, anytime you see somebody on TV, they're already a government agent. They are not in the business to bring you your heroes and your leaders. If they're on TV, they're already a government agent. You see what I'm saying? So David Icke is to put forth what it is he is a person to turn you against your Uraeus energy, which is the reptilian energy. You talking all this old stuff, they give you George Bush and the Queen, they all reptilians from Mars. White people ain't from no fucking where but the caves. Come on. That's like the moon thing. They've been to the moon. Since when you ever know a white man to go somewhere and don't return? He ain't never been to no moon. That was a part of a mind control mission. If we tell them we went to the moon, they would think we gods, and they would think that we are capable of anything. And our reign will be supreme. See what I'm saying? Our reign will be supreme. They can't even create a decent medicine. You see all the side effects that they advertise? They made them about 10 years ago start advertising the side effects. It'd be 100 side effects, you see what I'm saying, from one symptom. They're into curing the symptom but not the cause because they can't cure shit. So how the hell are they going to go to a moon? See what I'm saying? That's the greatest real estate in the world. Why the hell you think that they colonize your land and they can go to the moon? And you believe that? They did a whole movie on called Capricorn 1 with O.J. Simpson and this named it Mars. So the point I'm trying to make here is that we're talking about mind control in a particular aspect of fear. They don't get fear. They know it. They know that they can keep your melanin shut down by telling you how mighty they are when they are weak. You see what I'm saying? And your DNA is changing. You see. What's that, brother?
Yeah, over here on the news, right, what they're trying to say now is that in Europe, they found mummy white skeleton that's older than Lucy.
Yeah, it's always, look, first of all, the original Europeans were black people. The original Europeans were black people. Get African presence in early Europe by Ivan Van Sertima. You see what I'm saying? You know, hell, they built Stonehenge. You see what I'm saying? You see, so my point here is, you know, so that whole thing there, you know, they have always did that when they did Piltdown Man. Remember that was the fake one that they said because they had found a skeleton. It was before Lucy. They had another skeleton they found in South Africa. So they're always doing that type of thing. My point here is, if you was around long enough, you would have a history more than 2,000 years ago. See what I'm saying? Now the spirits told us that there was never a white man ever initiated in the mystery system. But we know the Greeks went to the mystery system. What are they telling you? They're telling you the Greeks weren't white until the 1800s. That was a black civilization. Dr. Charles Finch did a study, and the Greeks got 85% sickle cell rate. That's melanin. I went to Greek Town in Detroit, a Greek restaurant, and everybody on there was as black as everybody sitting in here. And I said, how long y'all been in Greece? They said, when Greece was formed. Before that, they were the Phoenicians, the Minoans, the Etruscans who started Rome. You see what I'm saying? So that whole thing, so I'm just trying to say here is, they lie about everything. So my point here is based on that. The first thing you got to do to get to the God level, you got to get out of this fear. So they got you on a fear-based thing based on all this stuff of what they're going to do. So my point here is you got people that sit up and just calculate what they next move. They're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing this. Your DNA, man, supersedes all of that now. Supersedes all of that. You see. You know, hell, this chocolate right here, this dark chocolate, it's called dark chocolate Negro. Dark chocolate, real sport. This got melanin in it. See what I'm saying? It's got melanin in it. You see. This right here, seek and you find this. This is called Juhayna. Go to www.juhayna, JUHAYNA.com. They got assorted flavors. The reason why you want to get this particular juice here, it's made in Hemmitt, made in Egypt. So something about it being made in Egypt, I don't know, they might have got the fruits from someplace in the world because it's assembled in Egypt. See what I'm saying? Take it to a whole other level. You see, take it to a whole other level. You know, I just want to put that out there. But moving right along, give me some more questions right quick. What's that, huh?
In one of your talks about the mystical, magical aspects of love and sex.
Yeah.
He was talking about when the Kundalini, when your energy center, energy raises up to open up the heart center.
Yeah.
For you to identify with your soul.
Right.
And you chat about fear, and fear, you know,
yeah.
Or, you know, as you know, it's a mind control thing, and how, as we explain and make it clear what it does to our memory.
Yeah.
I would like you to clarify the aspect of basically identifying with soul when you're feeling in love, and those aspects of that, and the significance of the heart center bursting open like a sun.
It's a good question. Let me tell you something. Now, I need somebody that's a certain age, something like 40 plus. Because I want to know a person that was around in the 70s, maybe the early 80s, and they fell in love. And the person is long gone. The person has been out of a relationship about 30 years. And then one night you wake up and you can feel the love that you felt for that person 30 years ago. Anybody ever seen it? You come down with the same thing. It might be brief. That is because when you fall in love, the person only acts as a catalyst. What you're actually feeling when you fall in love is your own soul, your own self. See what I'm saying? So a lot of times, we focus and attribute to love to the person who actually was the catalyst to open that love and make that reaction. But ultimately, after the person has done its job and you meet in those particular, and it opens up, the thing that you're actually feeling is yourself. So when you say 30 years later, some people say, man, I felt love last night when I was in love 30 years ago. And they can't understand the person. This person is dead. He's not no longer living on the planet. What they don't realize is what they was feeling was their own energy that they felt 30 years ago. That's the whole heart chakra thing. You see, there's a book called Love is a Fire by Llewellyn Von Lee. Love is a fire. So how many people is in love right now? I'm not talking about you love somebody that you know, like, because it goes to different stages. I love Linda. But there was a stage when it's new, where it's a form of insanity. That's the difference now. Anybody that's in love right now, that's recent, you recently fell in love. Anybody in here? Okay. It's a literally form of insanity. Because what it is, these powers, the dopamine, is going against the grain. It's a form of melanin. It's a form of melanin. So what you're supposed to do with it, with this type of love, is instead of fighting against it, males, we don't want to open up to it. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to surrender to it and let it consume you. As a result, what happens here, once it consumes you, the cells in your body, and all the cells in your body and things go to a whole nother level. You become closer and closer to the God self based on the soul self. You see what I'm saying? So that's particular. What's that?
The sun that's in your chest. The fire that starts to take
place.
What's the deeper process? What's going on?
That's your soul. See, you have two levels. There's the person who you think you are that don't exist. And what you need to do right now, if you get rid of the person who you think you are and the person who you the person who gets emotional, the person who gets jealous, the person that has the ego, if you get rid of that person, you will have your soul, you can experience your soul, but you got to do that based on deep humility and try to eliminate everything that you think is important in your life. It's not important because you don't exist. Only thing that exists right now is the soul on the inside of you, and the person that you think you are is just a simulation or a program that thinks it's a person, but it's not a person at all. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not a person at all. So when you get rid of that person, then the soul taps in. You see what I'm saying? And it don't have no conditions and no restriction. What's that, brother? Mm-hmm.
Mental health, what do you think about paranoid schizophrenia? Because lots of black people...
Yeah, all that is, let me show you something right here. It's interesting you said that. Every now and then people will see this. Y'all all right? Yeah. Okay, every now and then you ever see some figures like that at night? They be behind your head. This is called black kundalini. You ever seen some little dark, shadowy figures? Yeah. That's nothing but your own self, or that's other spirits. So paranoid schizophrenia a lot of times is that you have tapped into your kundalini, or your third eye is open and you have tapped into the spirit world, and yet you're living in a society that tell you that don't exist. The reason why they tell you it don't exist because the simple fact they want you to be dependent on them for going and buying all that ridiculous shit out the stores in capitalism. You see what I'm saying? So if you knew of another world, you wouldn't think of this world being so important. So that's what this.
What about voices?
The voices and all that is quite normal. It's just that society has told you that that's weird and crazy. The moment you accept it as being normal, the more and more it no longer has an effect of mental illness. Let me give you an expression. Give me an example. A brother called me, this was back in 1995. He said, man, he said, all my life, I have had spirits. It's 3 of them. And they've been around me. He called them jinns because he was a Muslim. He said, these jinns been around me, and I ain't been able to get rid of them. I done been around the world on how to get rid of them. People been trying to tell me on ways to get rid of them. Can you tell me how to get rid of them? I said, brother, those jinns are nothing but your boys, your homeboys that used to be in another life. They were more advanced, so they didn't reincarnate down here again, but you had certain learning things you had to do, so therefore you reincarnated through the generations. So at this particular time when you came about, you were a little more conscious, and they was like, okay, then his eye is open. We can get in contact with him. And I said, for all your life, they've been trying to get in contact with you so they can assist you and help you, but you've been scared of them. I said, so embrace them as your homeboys. And as soon as he did that, they were like, shit, man, we've been trying to travel with you for millennia. Now, hold on, let me get some other questions and come back, So my point here is, the best thing to do is embrace it as being special. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
But the drugs now.
That's the drugs, you see what I'm saying, is to cope that and keep you in a suspended state of animation. If you get off that and detox, you see what I'm saying? Detox, start with some senna tea. A lot of people don't like it when it gripes you, but when it's up gripe you, that means it's really clean. Now get you some senna tea bags and drink you some senna tea and clean out each week. Me and the Queen clean out once a week. It's not really what you eat, because I was a vegetarian and I was a meat eater. You see what I'm saying? Vegetarian was past tense. But when I was a vegetarian, I noticed one thing. I had to clean out just as much as I did when I was eating the meat. It's not based on what you eat, it's based on how you clean out. You see what I'm saying? So start with a couple of colonics if you can. But if you can't, get you some senna tea. And then and clean out every week. You see what I'm saying? The word Anubis, which is the black dog. The black dog Anubis, which is called Anush Anus, the opener of the way. You got to clean out. That's the key. So you detox the drugs and aspect of, and then embrace that. It's the only way you're going to do it. But you can't do it. Somebody had that question. Yeah, what's that, brother? Mm-hmm.
Talking about DNA changing, does this relate directly to when they talk about having junk DNA?
Right, okay, what it is this. Excellent question. Okay. We're supposed to have 2 strands of DNA. They said it was another 12 or something. Another 10. So the Sephra on the Kabbalah, if you ever seen the tree of life, is supposed to be the other 10 strands of the DNA left over. Let me give you the story on this, on what really happened. The other DNA that they can't explain is called junk DNA. Junk DNA is nothing but melanin. So what happens here is this. When we fell into a physical body, we used to have multiple strands of DNA. For the sake of trying to map that, let's just say we had 12. But you remember the movie Fifth Element? And they said, this is our DNA, but this is hers, and she had multiple strands. That's what our shit is like. So what happened when we fell into a physical body, a part of the other DNA burned up by entering the physical realm. And we only had 2 strands of DNA left. The carbonic ash from the other DNA that comes through incarnation is the melanin. So the junk DNA of the other 10 DNA strands is actually the melanin. So the melanin is crushed DNA. And water is the key. You the Fremen. Anybody saw the movie Doom? What did they deal with? Water. Water is the key. You see what I'm saying?
So can I ask you something?
Uh-huh.
What is it that when like at night, what happens to me at night? I know it's when everything is quiet and I get like Moscow sound in my ear.
Yeah, excellent question. See, the spirit is working. See how that shit work? That's right in line with what you're talking about. There's a humming.
Yeah.
It's called a sonic ear. That means you are actually hearing the other dimension that's coming in. If you get in that now, it's telling you that the other dimension is coming in. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You heard about the bees disappearing around the earth. They're actually going to other dimensions. What they don't tell you is the people with the beehive people, they're not dying. They just go out to the beehive and they're gone. There's no physical bees that's dead. No, it's not disappearing like they're dying. No, they're gone. They're actually going to another dimension. That's the other world. That's that kingdom. So what it is, they got two worlds bumping into each other. And they're coming into each other. And this is what's going on at this particular time. That's one of the reasons why, that's one of the reasons why they're distracting you with fear. Because the seasons are completely destroyed now. So they have to create the seasons with hawk. Or now they got to the point they do the chemtrails. They'll shoot the chemtrails up. What they have to do in Atlanta is this. There's no more seasons in Atlanta. It's hot year round. So they actually have to, in America, they actually have to make the seasons. So what happens is it'll be February. February got up to 70, and it got up to 80 degrees in February. Then it was going up to 90. Then what they do is they bring the planes out, they shoot this substance, and it gets cold. Bring a chem dome, and it gets cold, and they call it a cold front coming through. But they're making that up. Because the simple fact, the seasons are gone, but the simple fact here is the dimensions. So we have a serial, they study your DNA, study your fucking DNA based on political shit. But you all in the political groups, selling pamphlets. Hell, you into some shit you was into 30 years ago. See what I'm saying? But they know black people do one thing. You like to stick around with shit that don't work. You've been stuff 1,000 years that don't work. White boy, he take a couple of years, he say this ain't working, he going to something new. He going to something new. Because the simple fact here is, the fact here is they're exposed to more. You see what I'm saying? They're exposed to more. You can tell them, listen, if you want to expand your horizon, limit the stuff that you've been eating all your life and try new shit. I don't care what it might be Vietnamese, it might be Vietnamese, it might be some type of Thai, Moroccan, I don't care what, just try something new. And you start expanding and stuff, because when you eat, so they got us on lockdown in America, that soul food bullshit. It's peasant food. But they got you with peasant food, all the shit you eating, you know, with the plantains and all that shit you've been eating on the islands, that's all good. I can't experience it because it's not my meal. But you've been eating that all your life, that means that you're still on lockdown. So you got to expand things. So white folks, you know, they are willing to try things because they're open, because they're exposed to more. You see what I'm saying? We have an island mentality, or we have a southern mentality, or we have a ghetto mentality. So we're not exposed to them. The first thing happening, I guarantee you right now, a lot of people, if somebody puts something new on your plate, you be scared to eat it. See what I'm saying? And that's how you expand your horizon. So what it is they got you on lockdown on several things with complacency, but the dimensions are changing and stuff. And what it is your DNA is already changed. It's your body got to catch up with it. But the only way your body can catch up with it is your mind can catch up with it. And when your mind can catch up with it, bam, it can go overnight. You can do it overnight. One way to do it is to line up the DNA for right now, so we all benefit from this. This is an ancient picture of Africa. But this rests between a black woman's leg. This is the vagina. Africa and South America. This is Africa and South America. So, about 30 years ago, what they did is you can't see it a lot of time because of the color part. So what they did was they went and linear drew hundreds of women's vaginas from around the earth. And they took the color away from it. There's a book called Occult coloring book. The Occult coloring book. Still in print. But it shows you what you're really dealing with. The Occult coloring book. But it shows you what you're really dealing with. Dr. Ben said heaven is between a black woman's legs. Okay. Now, this is the way you can access all this. You raise your hand when it stops. And we just repeat it. But this is the way you can it stop. This is the way you can access all of this shit so we can open up these damn dimensions. Now, this is called the labia. These are regions we haven't exposed. This is what the Egyptians were trying to show you with this. There's your labia, there's your clitoris, there's your tongue, and that the head right there is the G-spot. It's the most advanced mechanism on the earth. But this is our technology. It's called pussy power, whole book. Now, let me explain how you get out of this. You want to become God, you want to line up the DNA, it's within the black woman. Hold on, let me get this, because this is... You still on? Okay. Now, going back to this. This is Africa and South America. Now, and in the coloring book, they'll show you down there every state, every continent, they got a vagina that looks like it. That's the only universe there is. Okay? Now, the key how to line up the DNA is this. This goddess, or what they call the goddess, because this is the actual emblem of the goddess. The vagina emits certain hormones, certain elixirs, certain dimensions of juices or secretions that they haven't really been able to study. They haven't been able to study these secretions and stuff because it's like it's melanin. As soon as it comes out, it evaporates so fast that they can't study it. You see what I'm saying? It evaporates so fast. You see. There's a book called G-Spot and Female Ejaculation. G-Spot and Female Ejaculation by Deborah Sunday. Spell it the best way you can. Deborah Sunday. G-Spot and the Female Ejaculation. Now, the problem here is this. And this is what separates you from our set. Because it's supposed to be the return of the goddess. What this shit is about, the return of the divine feminine. Return of the divine feminine. And the return of the goddess is this. What makes you separate you from Isis and the Egyptians and the ancient person based on the modern person is the ancient woman never wore no underwear. And that's what's the lockdown. They already know it. They already know right now that the reason why you can't line up the DNA and the reason why you can't do stuff because you wear underwear. Something as thin as a thin piece of fabric can throw the whole system off. So the difference between you and the ancient woman or your goddess, and they already know it. This has to be free. They say free the land. This is the land they're talking about. This is sovereignty. You see what I'm saying? You got to free the land. They say, I am Isis and my veil has not been lifted. No one knows my veil. The veil is the pussy. You see what I'm saying? There's a book out called Sexy Witch. Sexy Witch. I don't know the name of the author, but it's called Sexy Witch. But there's a chapter in there called Pussy Power. And what the girl is saying here is the reason why you can't tap into nothing because you walk around for 30, 40 years and don't even know how your vagina looks. You're supposed to shave your shit so you can see it. You see what I'm saying? And girls say, hey, see, you ain't eating my stuff right. I said, I can't see your shit. It's like eating the first, I'm like, now. Like eating a little miniature dog or something. So, You know? So what the deal is, they say you're supposed to get a mirror, you're supposed to shave your shit, you're supposed to get a mirror, and you're supposed to sit down, and you're supposed to memorize every bit of how your vagina looks. See what I'm saying? And that brings, because that is the land. You see what I'm saying? That is the land. But they already know you on lockdown because you all in religion. You shame of your shit. You see what I'm saying? Huh?
It's another heart. Yes.
2 hearts. The second is also a heart. The lily in the valley. And the clitoris is the second pineal gland. You see. Now, within there is the G-spot that you got to find the G-spot, and that's the doorway to the goddess. And there's a mantra that you say, Lu-ah-ah, once you find it and you have your man massage it. You see what I'm saying? Lu-ah-ah.
You spell that?
Lu-ah-ah.
That's not anymore. This guy's a saying. Somebody write it down. Somebody help him out. Somebody write it down. Somebody help him out. Get the DVD off the man.
That's Ebonics. Spell it phonetically. Now.
I've always known that for a long time because they symbolize the heart on their Valentine cards.
Right.
And I've not always known that's where they got the symbol from.
That's right, yeah.
That shape.
Yeah. What's that, sister? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the best way to tackle the enemy,
yeah.
although we know some of our people historically,
yeah.
And you rightly, this is something I do agree with. I'm not sure where you go with this part of the lecture, but in terms of the spiritual warfare, listening to what you're saying, what's coming across from your earlier part of the lecture is that it's important that we actually switch off.
Right.
Their news information, take what is relevant, the ones that is irrelevant, and actually switch it into news information from those that are able to take...
Right, see, we're not telling people that you don't supposed to learn of conspiracies against you because it makes sense on why you were suffering as long.
Exactly.
So they're not saying that, but my point here is we can get stuck in it if that becomes the substitution of certain knowledge that you're supposed to be learning to become back to your higher self, and yet you're mistaken that you use that as a form of a new religion where you learning everything that they do. Well, it's a warfare machine, so it means that they're going to do that constantly while we're sleeping. But what you do when you study most of that, you're studying his agenda, and you're negating your own agenda, which is a spiritual agenda. Which is a spiritual agenda. So my thing here is, a lot of times we're thinking of power based on the way he has taught us to think of power based on his technology, which is physical technology. But our power comes, they say the simple is the most sublime. Now, we understand that if we're coming back into a whole, coming from a matriarchal standpoint of view to a patriarchal standpoint of view to a matriarchal thing, then you got to understand what were we thinking or what were we talking about. We weren't just learning ourselves as the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Sumerians. If you go back to ancient Hemmitt, they wouldn't be studying their history. They were living history. What was the ecological mind state on certain mysteries and certain things like that? And that is our particular technology. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is to free the land. They got us on lockdown, and a lot of disease and a lot of things you have is, for the simple fact here is you wearing the panties. Now let me try to understand this. Now what happens is this. Once you eliminate the underwear, there's a force field that not only permeates around you, it permeates around your own house. You could have plants that ain't had sunlight in 6 months and don't die. They feeding off of some stuff called collars, ojas, shaktis, gunners, and rustlers. All this shit is emitted from the vaginal fluids. You see, collars, ojas, shaktis, gunners, rustlers. And these are things that they haven't studied, and it's a whole ecological system that can line you up into the dimension that is coming in. You see what I'm saying? And it permeates throughout the whole household. Your man is healed, the children is healed. Then the healing becomes on a psychological level. You see what I'm saying? But the key, the woman has it.
I still ask you a question and you didn't answer it.
What's that now?
Is this something that the white girl knows? Because a lot of
I'll get ready to answer that for you. Let me explain something to you. Now let me explain something. They got new information coming out in Marilyn Monroe. We know that they said Ava Gardner, Elvis Presley, Abraham Lincoln, a couple other presidents were black. They had black ancestry. That woman, Carol Channing, just died and said her father was black, and Eisenhower's mother was a mulatto. Well, they say even Marilyn Monroe had black ancestry. Now, Marilyn Monroe, now hold on now, look, I'm getting distracted. Because see what it is, when I pour a libation, my hearing becomes real, so anything I can hear it and it throws me off. Marilyn Monroe couldn't act. They had several pretty white women or whatever as white standard go as far as what they call the standard of beauty. But what was it why Marilyn Monroe took them by surprise? Marilyn Monroe locked down Hollywood, hands down. But Marilyn Monroe magic was Marilyn Monroe never wore no underwear. So whatever she was radiating on, even if it was debatable where she was black or white, she was dealing with the maximum of her energy, be black or white, because she didn't wear fucking underwear. See what I'm saying? You see.
Listen to white pussy, black pussy.
Huh? Well, the difference between black pussy and white pussy is with mutated pussy, you don't have the collars, the chakras, the ojas, and these particular secretions. So what happens here is, these particular secretions. So what happens here is it becomes more of a vampire energy that takes your energy. You see what I'm saying? There's all kind of reports of guys, they stay sick all the time, because, so when you crossing up species, you see what I'm saying like that? That's the difference and stuff, and it can lock stuff down. You see what I'm saying? On that particular level. Now don't get me wrong, the offspring from that is melanin. Melanin is like the black hole. Whatever it comes in contact with, it replicates that we'll just put it this way, it sucks that in. And it makes that thing become it, as far as the offspring goes. But that's what that's talking about. But what I'm trying to say here is in this particular aspect here, these are the types of things that we have to deal with. A lot of times we are locked in with what we call revolutionary aspect of things. We've been dealing with certain modes based on our oppression and what we had to do based on our oppression. Now we are returning as a higher entity, and and a lot of the stuff we're talking about here is dealing with your own physiological and sociological or your psychological breakdown. You see what I'm saying? Give me some questions. Mm-hmm. What's that?
Yeah, colour purple.
Yeah.
There was a scene where, I think the name was Lucy, which is played by Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
She discovered herself when, was it Rose that showed her pussy? And
yeah.
She opened it up, and
right.
then kind of rejuvenated her.
Right. Look.
Is that the same thing you're talking about?
Yeah, let me give you some more information. See, a lot of stuff we deal with taboo. You know, they used to have days in Egypt when the women would get together and do things like that to expose themselves in the right of womanhood. You see what I'm saying? It's a whole advanced, it's a whole advanced thing. See, the thing about the woman, which is some stuff that is so powerful, is this ultimate mystery. It's the ultimate mystery. is if the vagina is made to receive the penis, and that is also a sexual pleasure, then why have a clitoris? And my point here is it's some advanced mysteries to say in actuality that might not be a doggone law to say that, hey, the woman is such an advanced being until that could very well, I don't want to say nothing, but I can understand when
I think
it's on a whole nother level. You see what I'm saying? It's on a whole nother level. I want to say this way here. She is not just this one monolithic being. You see what I'm saying? And we was playing a real cruel joke. And it even said it in the book, Secrets of Regeneration of a Man is nothing but a degenerative female.
Yeah,
we got a cruel joke because our G-spot is the damn prostate gland. See what I'm saying?
The same thing you were saying.
It's just a real cruel joke. You see. Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna say, some research of I've done has come across this thing called the bulbous glands that a woman used to be able to basically fertilize her own.
Oh yeah. No doubt about that. They could make their own self pregnant. They could make themselves pregnant by the sun. Now what that is?
That's right. They used to lay out.
They said that basically the sun is sperm is nothing but solar phallic energy. Basically, the sun rays get trapped and produce itself into a semen form. But if it's the solar phallic energy that brings the life to the planet, then a woman could impregnate herself by just opening her legs up to the sun. And they got whole things on that type of thing in history about that, yeah.
Then how do you see these women that they have a penis? A woman that has a penis and a woman.
You mean a hermaphrodite, or you mean an old enlarged clitoris? It's two different things.
Oh, you're talking about the
You're talking about hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite. Well, hermaphrodite is just what it is. It's a hermaphrodite. She just got both sexual organs. Let's put it this way: they were worshipped in the ancient world. They were worshipped in the ancient world. It represents the dual entity type of thing. You see what I'm saying?
I heard you in libation. I heard you mention Lilith.
Lilith, yeah.
Isn't that?
Well, no. Lilith is actually, you can trace Lilith back. Lilith is actually Kali in India, Sekhmet in Egypt. She's a different one. Lilith, the story of Lilith that wouldn't lay down with Adam. Wouldn't lay down with Adam.
Oh, in the subordinate position.
In the subordinate position and stuff like that. In so many words, the story really is telling you that Lilith represented the goddess aspect that predates Adam. So she got up and left and went back to heaven. That's just the mythological aspect about that. And it represents the power of the goddess before she fell. You see what I'm saying on that particular aspect. So it's not the priest understood that it's not evil in the aspect of what you think things are evil. You see what I'm saying? Evil really doesn't exist. It's just a misconcept, a misconstruing of another person's earlier myth. So one man's devil is another man's God. So the devil is only the gods of yesterday. This is relegated into the devil for the simple fact he is, if I come with a new religion and you already got one and I say your God is cool, then they don't need me getting down with your new religion. So I have to demonize the previous deity. And that didn't start with white people. These religions were started long before white people even got it. We are responsible for that because the first one was ancient Egyptians. Your pre-dynastic Egyptians worshipped Set, the primordial god of all time. The word Set or Sut or Setesh, our word black comes from that. And then the Ammonites came later on, and it's customary, if you come in, you take the previous deity and relegate him as the devil in your mythology to get the people to accept to follow that. One man's God is another man's devil. You see what I'm saying? What's that,
Yeah, I was looking at some of the research by Richard Vogel and the whole thing about the changing of the cycle in terms of the DNA. And they're actually scared in terms of what's coming up around the corner in terms of the major changes.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they say, based on the changes of the DNA, the science and all of the things that we're using now will not be operational or will not be...
Exactly. Exactly. What's getting ready to happen, and this is what's happening and why they're really scared and they're doing all this rushing. And this is one reason why this whole alternative energy, why they're raising the gas prices, they try to force people to look into alternative energies because they already know. What's going to happen here is, because see, global warming is coming about based on your kundalini is rising. So you see what I'm saying? Your kundalini is rising, and that's what's causing the global warming. Your DNA has changed, your kundalini is rising, and the planet is rising with it. So they're in a rush to find alternative energies because they already know that once the DNA gets to a certain level and the earth rises to another dimension, then what's going to happen here is the things that will activate, the things that work in this dimension will no longer work. So therefore, none of their gunpowder, none of their nuclear power, and none of that shit going to work. You see what I'm saying? So they're trying to come up with alternative energy, trying to use the sun. You see what I'm saying? Because the sun is nothing, is in alignment with the same energy that you're dealing with, the kundalini energy, the solar phallic energy. So what they're doing here is they're trying to get alternative energy because they already know when your DNA gets to a certain level, you see what I'm saying? And it don't necessarily be 2012. It's a 2012 cycle. It can be the summer. It could be the summer solstice, which is tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? It could be the rising of Sirius, which is July 23rd on into August. It rises several times, different times. But they already know that once this stuff gets to a certain level and the kundalini energy is on the inside of you, no guns, no bombs, and none of that shit won't work. Because all those things is activated by certain elemental things that's in the atmosphere that makes these things combustible and work and fire. But if the atmosphere changes, then it doesn't work. We already proved with Marie Laveau and what happened to me on 9/11 that if the atmosphere changes and it's another dimension, then it don't necessarily mean that things will actually happen. And guess what? You know the bees that disappeared into the other dimensions? Well, they fucking in my front yard. The same honeybees that they can't find nowhere, they're in my front yard. But it's another dimension.
Can you explain, according to us, the ozone layer, not according to them?
You know, a lot of that shit was fake in the first place. They supposed they had a hole in the ozone layer, and they're supposed to fix it. All that old shit, man, is for paranoia. You know what I'm saying? We gotta save the planet. The planet don't need no fucking saving. You're like fleas on the planet. When the planet want to transmute itself and stuff, it's going to throw everything off and it ain't connected to it. You see the thing? And the planet ain't nothing but your cousin. So since we're in the same family, we ain't got shit to worry about. You see what I'm saying? So if the energy changes, ain't no more guns, no more bombs, it's square one. And you can fight better than them. Now, I know a group of black women that kick ass. Oh, shit. I know a group, I said if I'm going to get a soldier, I'll get about 30 of them motherfuckers. Because they peoples. They know how to kill on a whole other level and shit. Huh?
What planet are we from?
I'll be honest with you, that's a holographic universe up there. That shit don't even exist. The universe is on the inside of us. Get Michael Talbot's book, The Holographic Universe. That's why, you know, that stuff up there is nothing but a series of stuff that don't exist. And that stuff came into view when your pineal gland and stuff got shut down. You see what I'm saying? So what it is, you needed a roadmap to show the souls and the stars up here, because you can't see the souls down here because you see in the physical bodies, which is the illusionary aspect. What's that, brother? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to know your insight on ancient Babylon.
Good question. Good question. Ancient Babylon is the baby lion. The lion and her baby. That's Isis and Horus. And you've been talking about that. That's one of your most ancient goddesses. You know it's ironic because the Rasta comes from the word Restau. The Restau Plateau. And before it was the Restau Plateau, by the dynastic Egyptians, it was called the Babylonian Plateau by the pre-dynastic Egyptians. It was called the place of the lion, the baby lion, Babylon. And then the Babylonian plateau, when the pre-dynastic people traveled out of Egypt and was forced out based on warfare, they went up into the area of Mesopotamia and started Babylon again. That ain't nothing but your people, and Babylon is an ancient form of the ancient goddess. You see what I'm saying? But we all biblical shit where you taking older terminology and turn it into something evil and stuff like that. You see? So you can't get shit from a couple of pamphlets. Now that you understand the greater form. This is an excellent book that just came out. Dynamite. You need to get this book. It's called The Revelation of St. John, The Path to Soul Initiation, by Zachary F. Lansdowne. Zachary, Z-A-C-H-A-R-Y, F. Lansdowne, L-A-N-S-D-O-W-N-E. The Revelation of St. John by Zachary F. Lansdowne. And in this book here is, because we know the Revelation text was a text that came out of Egypt. Cambyses or Persia, when they invaded Egypt or Hemmitt, they took a lot of text back. And so it was found in Persia. You can get a book called Parallel Myths by J.R. Birlin. Don't you ask me how to spell, just because you the only thing you might need is the name of the book. Parallel Myths. And they got the Persian apocalypse, and it's almost identical. So they basically took that and put it at the back of the Bible, but it was an alchemical text of an apocalypse that's going on in your body. So all the white stone, black stone, the 7 seals, the 7 chakras, all of that. And this book here goes into it. Let me show you something here. So they're telling you each chapter means this. So chapter 1, the soul. Chapter 2, the sacrosolar plexus. The heart chakra, throat chakra, brow chakra, pineal gland, meditation, guidance, self-purification, awakening of the kundalini, the elimination of the ego. All this is in that text. But the text was borrowed, put in the book, and made on a mundane level. And you thinking it's locusts in the sky and all that old stuff there. There's a rider on the white horse. That's the pineal gland. The light bringer, Lucifer, light bringer, pineal gland. The devil, pineal gland. Jacob wrestled with the devil all night. The angel all night. And when he woke up in the morning, he saw the face of God. It was called what? Pineal. You see what I'm saying? It's called pineal. But you all spooked out thinking something evil. And send your children to the hospital every day. You scared of a devil, but send your children to the white man every day. He putting all kind of shit up your child's ass. Epidurals and all kind of shots and stuff and vaccines. You see what I'm saying? Okay, you and then what's that, brother? Yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering if you could speak about Zimbabwe, because we get a lot of negative information over here.
It's just simple. It's just like Chavez down in South America, wherever that is, giving away gas. I want to give gas to Africans. Anytime somebody is doing the right thing, they are seen of as negative. You see what I'm saying?
You mentioned before about AIDS in Libya. It's not really there. It'd be interesting. I don't know what the sort of AIDS count is in Zimbabwe, because he hasn't had any.
Look, there was a woman we met, traveled from. She was from the Congo. She's one of the high psychics. She's a voodoo priestess, raised in original voodoo of some Congo strain. And she's a world healer, black woman. I mean, she's African. And she heals people from the spirit world. She can see what's wrong with them, and she tell them what to do spiritually with herbs or do this ritual. She was at Morehouse Medical School in Atlanta, and they so the white woman stood up and asked her, well, what about AIDS? She said, and she was in her late 40s at that time, early 50s. She said, in my life, I have never seen nothing called AIDS. She said, now everybody who came to me and said they was diagnosed with it had something else, but it wasn't no AIDS. So you could have a head cold, and they just give you AZT poisoning. They shoot you up with the AZT, and that riddles the body, and that's how they kill you. But as far as, but they ain't dying from AIDS no more in America, because they're giving them expensive drugs, placebo. Because they never, you know, it was never none of that. Let me tell you what happened. She got a friend, this is a gay friend. And you know, and this ain't had nothing to do with no gay community thing. Because the gay community ain't had AIDS in 20 years. You see what I'm saying? But this is what it was. He went to the hospital because I think he was trying to get out of work or some kind of shit. So they told him to go home. He didn't have nothing. They diagnosed him and told him he didn't have shit. To go home. So he went outside and fell on the fucking ground. Just fell out. Fell out in the damn hospital in the reception area. So they grabbed his ass and put him on the gurney, took him back there, and an hour later they diagnosed his ass with AIDS. Like, okay, nigga, you know, you want to act funny? So there's no such thing as AIDS. It's just AZT poisoning. And what's that?
What's your opinion on
Nibiru? Nibiru is come from the word Neb Heru. It's the pineal gland.
Thank you.
Nibiru is called Neb Heru. You'll see the word Neb Heru in the Sirius mystery, but you'll see the combination because Zachariah Sitchin calls it Nibiru. And all you see, and it's Neb Heru. But its original word was Neb Heru. It's in the Sirius mystery by Robert Temple. It's in another book called Architects of the Underworld by Bruce Rux. Neb Heru. And then as Dr. York calls it Nibiru. You see what I'm saying? Because they basically use Zachariah Sitchin's
But it's a planet then?
see, as above, so below. It could be a planet, but this is how you analyze things as worth anything. It's a planet. It could have very well been a planet, the 12th planet or what have you. But the real origin of it, if it's got Heru in it, that's the pineal gland. That's the third eye. So ultimately, the mystery on how it pertains to us. You see what I'm saying? Is what's most important to us is the pineal gland. Because you get to the high levels of the holographic universe or whatever dimension through the pineal gland, not through no fucking spaceships. And we have spaceships. Don't get me wrong. They're out there right now, and I can show them to you. But they're not physical. They're not tin cans. The physical spaceships was created by the government from 1947 up until now. So the Roswell crash was just one of the first round airplanes that the government was testing. There are no physical spaceships. And why is it only white people get abducted? We was talking about this last night. If there's such thing as a damn crop circle, why you never saw one on the African continent? They got land down in the islands. Why you never seen them down there? Why we never seen them in Alabama, Mississippi? I'm from the fucking South. Every time you drive outside the city limits, there's a cornfield or there's a field. Why I ain't never seen them in my lifetime? And why isn't I ain't came with no big-eyed, bug-eyed people? Look, they took the god Lamb, which is Aleister Crowley's lamb. If I can find one of his pictures. They took the god Lamb and put some bug eyes on it. See if I can find one. I can't find it right now. I should have picked it out. And if you saw the movie Fire in the Sky, this is a picture of Lamb. A deity that Aleister Crowley drew and had in an exhibit at 1919 in Greenwich Village, New York. They took this deity from 1919. You see what I'm saying? And they put bug eyes on him, and they use that as the template for aliens. You saw the movie Fire in the Sky. They got on the spaceship and they opened up a closet and they had the bug-eyed spaceships in the closet. The only thing they do is rub them crackers up, play with their booty hole, and in a spaceship. But I want to ask you this question: why ain't no black people being abducted? Now look, I'm gonna tell you something now. I deal with spirits on a mass level. That means at any time I can communicate with any spirit known. And I ain't never seen no bug-eyed people be in contact with nothing. That's all white people stuff. You can tell they sociopath. Why is it that you're going to do something in the universe of alien contact and it only pertains to you? See what I'm saying? All these spiritual black people. And yet, how many of y'all been contacted? You see what I'm saying? But when you contacted physically or contacted spiritually? But if physically or spiritually, you've been contacted? You asked a question. Now, all that spirit, look, when they had Independence Day came out, Pat Robertson, or the Trinity Broadcast Network, or whatever that shit is, 700 Club, he said there are aliens, but they ain't physical. The aliens and the angels are the same. They used to just be called angels in the ancient world. You see what I'm saying? But here's another form of mind control. So to let you know that his rule is forever, why is it that the white boy is the one that's all in contact with the aliens? You see what I'm saying? You go to David Icke, you go to Quaker Mutua. Remember him? If you hear David Icke, basically David Icke is putting words in this man's mouth. And the man is constantly correcting him the whole time. You see what I'm saying? But he's putting stuff in the man's mouth. You see what I'm saying? To make his own synopsis, but he had to authenticate it by going to Africa. You see what I'm saying? So people see things in the sky all the time. Look, I was at the slave theater. Now, believe it or not, I am here today because of some UFO stuff. Because what I told them niggas back in 1994 at the slave theater, it would have wrecked my career. You see what I'm saying? I told them black people, when we walk outside the slave theater in Brooklyn, New York, the spaceship's going to be outside. And if they didn't show up, I wouldn't be here today. And I'm still here. But I showed them what the deal was, but what came looked like a star. And it rolled right up in front of the slave theater and stopped and started hovering with chakra lights. That was an entity. And that's the difference. What's that, brother?
Just wanted to say that if you can give us if you've heard of this Prophet Yahweh, who's someone's UFOs.
This black guy that they got on Coast to Coast?
Yeah, something like that.
Did you ever get Coast to Coast here? Coast to Coast is a government show that come on.
So, I mean, if you touch the matrix as well, what that in relation to what
all that's some hoax stuff. He talking about UFOs. I'm trying to tell you, there ain't no physical UFOs. See what I'm saying? I don't want to bust no bubble, but if the UFOs was real, Dr. York would be out of prison. I think what Devil Blair did was basically, see what it is, the history is broken down on extraterrestrials on two levels. There's a historical origin of extraterrestrial where they were talking about spiritual beings and celestial beings that might not necessarily appear as a bodied angel. It could be balls of light. And it's that. Then you got the physical aspect of those things. And so a lot of the information that started coming out in the 1950s was about the physical aspect that was connected to the government, put out the propaganda, and Devil Blair fuses the two together. There is no physical UFOs. You see what I'm saying? Look, I done been, one thing about it, I done been on every spiritual thing. And look, it's like this. Everything that is so evil and diabolical and dark and satanic, I done went through it. There ain't no such thing. All I do ended up mad. Spirits like, man, that ain't nothing but your own energy. That's what they call it, satanic. You see what I'm saying? The point I'm trying to make here is there would have been some contact by now, and I got contact. I got a ship that follows me everywhere I go, be outside the plane. It's been following me since '92. Protecting. Hell, it protected me in 2000 in the year 2000. It protected me in the year 2000. We did a ritual on my birthday in 2000, me and the sister Delva down in Atlanta in the Confederate graveyard, because we found out they had something like 10,000 slaves buried there. So we went to there and did a ritual. And when we did that ritual, 4 helicopters came, Army helicopters with the doors open. And they hovered right over us and they saw something in the sky and they got the hell up out of Dodge. But whatever that thing was, it can be right over you and you can't see it because it's spiritual. But a person in eyes length of it up in the sky can see the shit. And they got the hell up out of God. Now, how do I know that they was following me? Because when I got home, they was over my damn house. You see what I'm saying? They did all of that stuff to me until I died. Bugging the phone and all that. Then I went off radar with them. You see, I went on radar with them and stuff like that. But the point I'm trying to make here is a lot of that stuff, man, is spiritual. And what they're doing to diffuse things, they give you the physical stuff. Then they tell you it's evil. You see what I'm saying? Now all of a sudden the white man been kicking you in the butt and locking you up. And he ain't evil no more because I got to worry about some aliens. Huh?
Sidonia, you said it's a hoax.
Sidonia? Yeah. With the crystals and all that stuff out there?
Yeah, the pyramid face.
Oh, you talking on Mars?
Mars.
Oh, that could very well be real. I mean, we done been everywhere. I mean, but that could be a image that we put there just like we got the Sphinx. Right. So my point here is, but it's the whole spiritual aspect of that. Oh, that's real deal. You see what I'm saying? That's real deal. You see what I'm saying? But how we got to those things is not by no ship. You see the movie Jumpers? Anybody saw the movie Jumpers? It's on video. We can just jump there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what happened. The movie came out, Jumpers. I didn't even see the movie yet. I was in Chicago at the Moorish Science Temple Mosque, and somebody asked me a question, what was the pyramids for? And the spirit just came to me and started talking. They said the pyramids was ancient airports. You go into a pyramid, and your body dematerializes, and you end up in Mexico. You end up in China. You end up in Japan. Those are airports for us. Because how is it we all over, when they go to Africa, it's all over the world. Now we know it was all one planet at one time, one continent at one time, before a continental drift. But my point here is, how did we get over all over the world, even at a later time? They go in a pyramid, or they appear Native American mounds. Because pyramids can be different things. But they used to it was jump sites. If you see the movie Jumpers, what's that, brother?
Yeah, it's like they live, isn't it, with the satellite system.
You remember how on the day they stood there and it beamed out? That's how they could jump all over the universe.
My question was, that's why it goes back to my guy with the face thing in Mars and all.
Right.
It's like like with the jumpers, with all the alignment of the stars along with the pyramids. That's what I do believe. That's what we used to transport.
They say in the Kabbalah, the Zohar is a written Kabbalah. The Zohar ends up in Spain, so that lets you know where it came from. The Kabbalistic thing, the Moors brought it there. The Zohar tells you that man on earth say God lives in heaven, while the angels on high say God lives on earth. So they say this is the home of the gods. And this is the home of the gods. And this is another theory that the spirit world say. I don't think it's a theory. They say each one of those planets used to be different stages of the earth. So let's say you got a ball, put in a ball, put in a ball, put in a bigger ball, put in a bigger ball. And then after that ball, after so many eons, that ball opens up and another ball comes out, and it does its eon all the way to the last outpost, which is the Earth, which is the final dimension of all the planets. So all those planets out there used to be a form of the Earth. See what I'm saying? Which the spirit of Kabbalah shows you that. The different planets line up with the different sephiroths, and the Earth is at the bottom, the final place. The fallen daughter is the one that is the heaven. You see what I'm saying? What's that, brother? No, this brother had his hand. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a tape of Dick Gregory talking, and he reckons that the pyramids originate in the spiritual realm and they came into the physical.
That's exactly what happened. Let me tell you what happened. They're always telling you that the Egyptians had these big stones cut and they put them on barges and floated. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. You can't damn near stand up in a canoe with your 125-pound body and don't tip the shit over. And they're going to put a big-ass 2-ton stone in some wheat, in some rafts, some papyrus reeds and float. Them don't know what the hell they're talking about. And Asa Hilliard said something years ago, and he just made the transition in 2007. And Asa Hilliard said that they don't know how them pyramids is built to this day. The best book that they got written under is still Peter Tompkins' Secret of the Great Pyramids by Peter Tompkins. But they got a guy at the Temple of Angkor Wat. And you can get that, the Temple of Angkor Wat They got a guy at the Temple of Angkor Wat. And this is Temple of Angkor Wat. Let me see if I have a picture of it, but they asked him, they went to this Vietnamese, they asked him how the Temple of Angkor Wat was built. He said it was him and some of his buddies in another reincarnation had lined up with the gods, Vishnu, Shiva, Vishnu, all of them, and they built that temple. The gods helped them build that temple. So that's the same thing on what happened with the pyramids. Yeah.
About this stuff of you died, yeah? I had a friend just died, another person anyway, a couple of weeks ago. Because Spirit kept on telling me that the person was going to die. Quite in my sleep. And the person actually went to the dead state and come back.
Right.
And this is like the second cycle of the same thing. So just to let people know.
Yeah, that's it. It's just that I didn't know until a couple of months after I died. Somebody had to tell me, apparently you died in the spring of the year. I said, what? You died in the spring of the year and didn't know it. But, are we back on?
Yeah.
Now, I want to say this. Them gods used to, but they got a saucer in the British Museum right now. That they got, when they went into the Great Pyramids, they found this white substance that the Egyptian priests made out of some alchemical powder. And they didn't know what it was, but if they put it on this podium, it would float. If they put it on this building, it would float. If they put it on a knife, it would float. It didn't matter what size the object, it would float. And they had a whole ship full of this shit, the British. And they set the sail back to Britain with it and didn't secure the shit down. And all of it blew away with a saucer of it. But they got it in the British Museum now, and it floats. So that's the kind, they were dealing with master alchemy. You see what I'm saying? And they could take stones from one part, they could quarry a stone, and then ship it through a porthole to another dimension and put it right there at the Giza Plateau, man. These were master builders. These were doggone master builders. I know what I'm talking about when I got there's a sister named Atifa. And Atifa used to travel with Nina Simone. And she was Nina Simone's nurse, but she was a real spiritual sister. And she used to say, she was from Georgia. And she said that people would come from miles around, black people, to see her, because when she was a little girl, she would sneeze and disappear. She would sneeze and disappear, so I know we can do different things. And she said that the spirit asked her mom and them said, well, you know, when white people find out, they're going to take you from us. So they asked the spirit to not do it, to help her along so she wouldn't do it. So I know, and you know, real life sister, you know, she's probably in her 60s now, but she used to sneeze and disappear. So I know that we can do it and stuff, and we can reappear all over the earth. We can do that now. Called a Cusac's cataract. Remember that on Doom? The Cusac's cataract could be in one or more places at the same time. And that was supposed to be Paul Atreides on what's called. Well, guess what? The guy Frank Herbert got that out of a Sufi manual. That was real deal shit. A whole Sufi manual they got to talk about the Cusac's cataract. You could be at 3 more places at one time. You see what I'm saying? Like that. You know, so that can happen. You and this brother had his hand up. You go ahead. Yeah.
I was wondering regarding the 20Jun08 strands.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you were born in 1940.
Yeah.
And then also Obama.
Yeah.
We come across information that people born in that year, when they reach the age of 49 years, which is in 2010, that those 20Jun08 strands will continuously used.
You say you come across information like that? Well, apparently, mine sure do some stuff, and I mean, man, I was coming down sick one day, and I ain't had nothing but a peach soda in the damn refrigerator. I said, I'm going to drink this peach soda, and it's going to have everything I need in it. It was better than any echinacea or anything I ever did. See what I'm saying? I'm so good now, I tell a lie on the fucking telephone, and the next day the lie comes true. Scared the shit out of me. You see what I'm saying? But when I thought I was lying, I probably was having a channel when I thought I was lying to the person. It was reality coming in, and I mistook it for a lie. You see, it came true the next day. That's not what happened. But so yeah, all that spiritual stuff, you have a lot to do. You said what year? 2010. Hell, that's 2 years from now. You see what I'm saying? I'm 46 now, and I'm 46 now, but it's just interesting how certain things go down. Give me a few more questions. Yeah, go ahead.
What is your take on the indigo crystal children?
The indigo crystal That's any black child. You see what I'm saying? That's any black child. Look, my brother got some children, a little boy, and he told him to pick out the Fantasy 5 number. That's I don't know how much that thing is, like $500,000. And he was sitting there, and the little boy wrote it out the best he could, scribbled it. And he was on the telephone and forgot to go play it, and was still talking on the telephone, and looked down, and the Fantasy 5 came up on the TV, hit $500,000. He cried like a baby. So the children can tell you something if you don't think of them as children. You see what I'm saying? If you don't think of them as children. You see what I'm saying? They're very spiritual, because apparently before I died, the same little boy started calling me, my nephew started calling me Dead Man. All of 2000, he dead man. That's dead man. Why you calling your uncle Dead Man? He's a spirit, he's a dead man. Then he came up in there one day, some of the Dogons is coming, and so-and-so, so-and-so. I said, did you ever have a tape of mine? And they said, he don't know nothing about no fucking Dogon. We never told him about that. See what I'm saying? So yeah, so black children are all that already. You see what I'm saying? It's just that they ain't coming, they've been here. You know, they've been here. But I'll tell you one thing about them children. I will tell you this, because I think a lot of conscious black people do the wrong thing. The more spiritual are, the more discipline they need. Because the same spirit motherfucker will be mass murderers in a few years. You got to really instill shit in them. And you know, oh, he's spiritual, I don't want to mess with him. No, that's a mass murderer in training right there. Because the more spiritual they are, you see what I'm saying? The more they become a mass murderer and a killer and all kind of whatnots and stuff and all demons and creatures and shit if you don't discipline them. I will tell you that now. And I see a lot of they're geniuses and shit, but they're in an environment and they're not getting the stuff conducive for them and stuff like that. Because the mind started rambling and that turned into pathology. What's that, brother? Mm-hmm.
Last one.
My question is, what are your thoughts on the KRS-One hip-hop movement and the effects this whole culture is having on black African people in the United States of America?
Okay.
Embodying this culture. Also, you have Mr. G. Craig Lewis who's doing his utmost best to create alongside other people who have been through the past 10, 15, 20 years who felt the burden has been so much in the soul. Most of the people who we should call our brothers who are happy welfare of everyone regardless of skin color.
Let me see. What was the brother name? Yeah, I know KRS-One, but the other brother name was
G. Craig Lewis. Ministries, who is enlightening and in essence overstanding foundations.
Yeah, but you got a lot of people right now that has to come through with alternative teachings and give the people the truth. And that's just one of them. You can benefit from a lot of Tupac Shakur, a lot of other people. Not just black people, but other people around the world. But right now that stuff has, they said that knowledge would have to open up in the last days, and that's what's happening. Now let me give you an example. KRS-One and them, one thing about this is one thing we can say, you like it or not, about the hip-hop thing. They got a documentary channel in the United States, and they're showing Ecuador, they're showing places all over the world. And every youth all over the world is hip-hop. So for lack of a good whatever, you can say what you want. We never had nothing on that major phenomenon ever. From China, Japan, and all of South America, Mexico, and everything. So we've never had a phenomenon that hit that way. You see what I'm saying on that? And that's why they have to prostitute it now and take all whatever stuff is out of it and stuff, you see. So that phenomenon already happened. Now whether the good stuff will remain to come, I highly doubt it. You see what I'm saying? Because, you know, even Jay-Z said he was paid to dumb people down in his lyrics. You see what I'm saying? You know, so the shit just went just plain stupid, you see. But there's always some underground stuff, you see.
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
Which might be of interest here.
Yeah.
I remember one of your documentaries you were speaking about Aaliyah's death, but you didn't quite elaborate enough.
Aaliyah, yeah. Aaliyah, you remember Kweka Mutwa? That's a very, we're going to end on this question. You remember Kweka Mutwa said there's a ritual where you can get a young girl and put her in the bed with an old man, and the old man suck all her energy. They even did an episode of South Park where they could screw these young boys and young children to get all the energy. What they did to Aaliyah turned 22, which is the number of Mayat. And what they did was right before 9/11 or right after 9/11. And what they did with Aaliyah is that they used Aaliyah, they blew up that plane or whatever it was. And for Aaliyah lasted from 2001 to 2004 as they just took and just sucked her energy. And they used the template to do it with the movie Queen of the Damned. So what happened in Queen of the Damned, when they all drew on her energy, that happened in real life. So right after after she finished Queen of the Damned, they killed her. And, well, they didn't kill her. They blew up the plane and they took her in as a sex slave. Not even a sex slave. It was an energy slave, a vampire. They had to choose a goddess. So some person that was 22 during the millennium, because 2001 was the millennium, not 2000. So they had to use that, and they used that. And what they also did, they because she played Akasha, which is the Akashic records, and Psittakosh, which is called Melanin, because she played Akasha, it opened up a realm to Akashic records so that they could extend trying to find knowledge on what is called an Akashic plane, because it was shut down for them. So they had to get a 22, and they had to put her in the mythology of Akasha, and they used Anne Rice stuff to do it. And then which opened up a ritual and a template that they could feed off of her and get information from the Akashic records. But she later on died or ascended in 2004. About 4 years later, 3 or 4 years later. And recently, she's come back and she's got enough energy now so she's starting to destroy stuff. So you can take this for what it's worth, but she came to us 2 weeks ago with the brother out of New York that's panicked. They come through him, and she told us she was the one that did that earthquake in China. She said there was a reason why that whole thing went down. So I'm saying these are spirits a lot of time when those things occur too also. You see, on that particular level. But yet they used her as a weapon, as a vampire type thing to drain her energy to get certain cosmic things going on. So right now we're going to come back tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Armin Keppen Ross and Teppen Ra, yeah, representing in London. I don't live for today, I'm from another tomorrow. I would love the black man to wake up and rise up, and the black woman to stop living the white man's world and running his rat race. And let's rise up to be the gods that we are, you know, and claim back what is ours. Bobby's always on point. I love the way Bobby comes correct. Bobby's like Melanin Magick, you know. He just comes at it whichever way, whichever angle. Loving the answers and questions. Love his openness, you get me? That's a God right there. That's me right there. Bobby is me and I am Bobby. You see what I'm saying to you? Yeah? Feeling that, like, love, fam.
It's really interesting to see Bobby and get the knowledge. And also it brings into focus our sisters, and it's kind of showing us we have to overstand them and over-respect them because of what they can bring, so that's a good thing. So yeah, good times are coming. Thank you.
Today was very important, some of the stuff that Bobby Hemmitt said, for this time that we're living in life now, and basically everybody should be into consciousness. Time to wake up.
8 years.
There might be a demo in here. There might be one left.
Oh, you're going to put this on the DVD?
Yeah.
You're going to slip it up on the DVD?
You got any comments about tonight?
Oh, the comment, well, listen to Bobby quite a long time. Helped support some of my own insights and so forth. And it's very good to hear this stuff because a lot of us don't talk on the spiritual level. A lot of the teachers do speak on the political, historical, and that's not what we need. We need to activate power, you know, spiritually, not religiously, you know. So what Bobby talks about, and what some of the other teachers who's on that level, just like myself, is great, it's wonderful, it is needed. Because we're spiritual beings, we're fighting for an identity that is not even corporeal. You know, piece of land, okay, it's big, but I mean, we're bigger than that, So today was brilliant, and I'm looking to hear the other two classes.
know what I mean? The magician, magic time. Straight occult, you know what I mean? So this is it. This is what we're dealing with. It's magic time. It's not we're not on no phony, baloney stuff. It's real deal science. We're taking it back home. Big up Bobby Hemmitt, big up Darren, big up Ancient Future. Info at ancientfuture.org.uk. Get locked in, man. Get the info. Get it. Don't just be taking in the information. It's practice. You understand what I'm trying to say? Put into practice. Make it applicable. You understand what I'm trying to say? And then you start seeing stuff start working. Yo, look at that. Look, just look. Get the DVD, and there's more and more series coming out. You know what I'm saying? Me, big up to brother Darren, big up Martin Books. We're at work. We're putting in the work now. So this is it. We've got to start applying it. You understand what I'm trying to say? I'm not angel myself. There's certain things I've got to apply myself. So this is it. This is part and parcel of it. So, like I said, Ancient Future. That's it. Magic time.
I'm enlightened, I'm overwhelmed, and I'm back tomorrow and Sunday. One love.
Give thanks.
Best. I've seen so many videos, I just knew I had to be here to see him in person. He's a blessed brother. Plenty of knowledge. Visit him and over.
It was amazing, and he was more than we could ever expect, and we're so happy that he came to see us from the Caribbean here, and we're ready to support him. So keep going, Bobby Hemmitt. We got your back. Blessings.
Well, I thought it was very informative. He actually he didn't go in depth about information, but he was very broad and he gave a lot of information, diverse place. I like the fact that basically he answered questions from the beginning. He didn't basically leave you until the last minute until, people, Okay. So I like that. Yeah. I love Bobby Hemmitt though.
Just pick up everyone. This is heavy mental to reawaken the mind.
No, you come now.
Just keep focused.
Go back.
Keep the focus. Reclaim the mind. Peace.
Universal awakener. I've been tuning into Bobby since February. I was ill, and my sister and my people, they thought I was high on something, but I was high on energy and Bobby energy. And oh man, I was shining like the sun. The realm that he took me through, the spiritual bath that I took. 3 capsules of bleach, 3 capsules of vinegar, 3 capsules of lime, and 3 capsules of ammonia. And the candle, the lighted candle, and the temple of Dendera. And going into that bath, I felt my heart chakra take over my heart, and the palpitations just, it was just powerful. Yeah man, coming back tomorrow, no doubt. Yeah.